for the cost of a plane ticket to Lisbon, Portugal.
This used to be your boyfriend. He's not your boyfriend anymore.
Correct.
You and your family, I assume your family, were going to Portugal to visit relatives. It is your claim that you laid out money for him to go on that family trip with the understanding that he was going to pay you back.
That's correct.
Mr. Spearman says there was never an agreement to pay you back for the trip. You wanted him to accompany you. You wanted him to meet your family. And he didn't have the money, so you agreed to pay for it.
Yes.
Well, tell me about the agreement that you had with him, Mr. Santos.
I had spoken to him about possibly going, and I had wanted him to go. And he had always told me that he wanted to go to Europe, and he had wanted to visit several places in Europe. So I suggested for him to come with me, and he wanted to. So I purchased a plane ticket, and he had always told me that he was going to pay me back.
Why didn't he purchase the plane ticket?
He did not have a credit card, I believe, and he didn't have enough money to purchase it himself.
So he had no money?
Yeah, not at all.
Well, how could he go on a trip if he had no money?
Well, he had just started working in a new job, and he said that he was going to pay me back when he got the money.
Did you agree to pay her back?
Never.
Well, tell me how it happened, Mr. Spearman.
Well, we were dating on and off, and she originally went to see her parents down there. So she had the ticket to go down there. Well, we were broken up. We got back together. That's why she was going down there when I went. Sorry, a little nervous.
Try looking at me.
Sorry.
That'll make you even more nervous.
I know.
Jennifer Dos Santos says ex-boyfriend Dwayne Spearman owes for the cost of a trip to Portugal. Dwayne claims that Jennifer insisted he accompany her.
Go ahead.
I had to get the time off work at first, which I didn't think I was going to be able to do. When they said I could have the time off, I told her, all right, I could come, but I don't have the money. I have a bank statement that shows I didn't have any money. I was in the negatives.
She agrees you had no money.
Yes. She told everyone she was going to pay for me. She told my witness. She told my parents. Even on her life journal, I have a paper that says that she would pay for the plane ticket. I was like, why not?
Well, first let me see the paper that says she's going to pay for the plane ticket. Well, it absolutely says, I bought his plane ticket. He's visiting for 7 days. This is so blank. Fabulous. I want to show him so much blank. So much to do, so little time to do it. I have a good feeling about this.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I have a conversation that took place between both of us stating that he would pay me back.
I'd like to see it.
I highlighted some of the main parts, and there's 2 screen names listed. I don't know if you can figure it out.
He says, I said I'll pay you back eventually. I'm doing that for myself. Technically, though, I didn't want to go. You offered, I said yes. I'd win. It's your word against mine. But then you do agree to pay her back, sir, right?
He just kept hounding me.
No, that was the first time I had spoken to him since we broke up. And then I spoke to him afterwards, and he had told me that after that conversation took place, and he said he was not going to pay me back.
She's only doing this out of spite, though. There's no
There's no
she just
spite.
wanted me to go. After we broke up, it's the only time this ever came about.
I tend to believe you.
Your Honor, may I see that for a second?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Your Honor, may I
Yes.
step up and say something?
Absolutely.
I was
First,
there.
tell me your name.
I'm Andrew Palua. I was there the day that they told me that they were going to Portugal, and I kept on making jokes. You know, he's in debt, he can't afford it. She blatantly said it was a gift, and he had not had to pay her back on many occasions.
Just a second. Didn't you hear what I just said? I know that you had something that you were dying to get out and dying to say. But is there anything different from what you said than what I just said?
No.
Then you can sit down. Thank you very much. I have other things to do today. Have you looked at that now?
Yes, I actually had a comment about it.
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm not denying it, but any person, I know 9th graders that could type this up and then bring
No,
it
but
to court.
I'm not, 9th graders, I got news for you. I couldn't
have the
type it
fact-
up on that machine,
Sorry.
whatever that machine is. And I've had more than a 9th grade education. The question is, did you in fact write it?
Yes.
Fine.
But I'm just saying, I don't think it should be used in court, though, because anybody could lie.
Well, when
I'm not gonna, it's not in me to lie. That's
listen
why.
to me. Listen to me. If you had said to me, Mr. Spearman, I didn't write that, then I would say, well, you have to prove that he wrote that. But you did. I believe she wanted you to go. I believe she had a good feeling about your relationship, and she wanted to share the European experience with someone that she cared about. I believe that after you broke up, when you came back, then, Mr. Spearman, you're probably a man of good conscience, and you agreed to pay her, right?
Yes.
Now, how much was the ticket?
$1,101.
Okay. And I tell you right now that the expenses that you had while you were in Portugal were limited. Your parents took you out for most of the meals that you were there, and whatever other money that you spent, you spent. But I believe he has the responsibility to pay you back for his airplane ticket. You agree with that, sir?
No, but I'll respect it.
I'm glad, because that email, or whatever that is, that conversation that you had, suggests that you are a man of good character. You don't want me to think otherwise, do you?
No.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,101. That's all.
On your excuse, you may step out.
Save our relationship.
It's untrue. I'm happy in a new relationship, and it has nothing to do with that.
Probably no future, ever.
It's ancient history. I'm moving away, and I can't wait to be gone from all of it.
Receptionist Kalita Thompson is suing the father of her child, truck driver Demetrius Webb, for filing a false restraining order, the return of personal belongings, and unpaid daycare expenses. Demetrius is countersuing for the return of jewelry and for moving expenses.
Yeah, this is case number 460 on the calendar in the matter of Thompson versus Webb. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Thompson, Mr. Webb used to be your boyfriend. And
Correct.
he also is the father of a child that you have, a boy.
Correct.
According to your complaint, while you were living together, Mr. Webb filed false domestic violence charges against you, causing you to be taken into custody. While you were in custody, it is your claim that he took property that belonged to you from the house, which was your house.
Correct.
And in addition, he committed himself to paying for one half of your son's daycare,
Correct.
which he has not done.
Correct.
Mr. Webb says that he rightfully filed an application for a protective order because you attacked him, that he took nothing from the apartment that was not his, and in addition, he says that you made the home environment unsafe, causing him to move, and he wants moving expenses. Right?
Correct.
All right, Ms. Thompson, how old is your child?
He's 3 years old.
And when did you and Mr. Webb move into this house together?
About a year and a half ago.
Was it your house?
Yes, it is.
Is it a house, an apartment, a rental? What is
It's
it?
a rental.
How long have you lived there?
It's been 2 years in November.
So he moved in with you? Mm-hmm. After the baby was born?
Yes.
And your name is the only name on the lease?
Correct.
Tell me about the allegations of domestic violence. When did he file those charges?
On November 3rd.
Of 2004?
Correct.
Tell me about the incident that sparked that.
Okay. On November 3rd, I had just came back from school, and I was laying down in the bed, and he came home because we had been arguing a couple of days before the 3rd, and I had told him before the 3rd that, you know, we're not getting along. We need to go our separate ways and make some type of arrangements with our son, Derek. Well, on November 3rd, while I was laying down and he came home, he was like, do you still want us to go our separate ways? And I said, yeah. He goes, well, you're going to be out the house before I am. And I said, no, what are you talking about? He's like, you're going to be out the house before I am. I said, oh, you must have went down and filed a restraining order against me. He didn't say anything.
What would make you think that?
Because we had been arguing all since the end of October.
Well, arguing and restraining
Arguing
order...
and fighting.
What do you mean fighting? You mean physically fighting?
Physically fighting.
Okay, that's different. Arguing and physically fighting are two different things.
Correct.
Where I grew up, right?
Right.
Where you grew up too?
Right.
You're arguing, you have an argument. You say, no, that's the wrong thing to do. That's an argument. Fighting is using your hands, weapons,
Correct.
something else. So you were physically fighting.
Correct.
Who was fighting with whom?
He was fighting with me.
Is that right?
Nope.
Okay, so
Okay, so what? Well, I'm asking you a question. Did you put your hands on him?
no, I've never put my hands on him.
Well, when you say physically fighting, explain the physical part of the fighting that was taking place.
Well, in
2
the
weeks before.
bathroom, there was an incident in the bathroom where he took my car keys, wouldn't allow me to take our son to the daycare. He had came home early that morning, wanting to take our son to the daycare. At first, I said fine, but then he started disrespecting me in front of my son. So I said, no, you're not taking our son to the daycare. So then he took my car keys and went upstairs. While he was going upstairs, he went inside the bathroom. I went to try to get my car keys from him, and he put his arm up against my neck, wouldn't allow me to.
How did you try to get your car keys from him?
Try to snatch him out of his hands.
So you were grabbing and touching him to try to get your keys.
Correct.
And he wouldn't give them to you.
Right.
So who put their hands on who first?
He put his hands on me.
No. You put your hands on him first.
Well, I grabbed the keys, I mean.
How do you grab the keys from somebody? I don't understand that. The keys are in his hand.
Right.
And what do? You
I
grab...
went forward, reached for the keys. He jerked back, and I said, give me my keys. Went for the keys again. He jerked back, and he's like, you're not taking Derek nowhere. And I said, yes, I am, too. I'm taking him to the daycare, and I'm going to work. And then that's when he pushed me up against the bathroom door.
What happened on November 3rd, Mr. Webb?
On November or before November? Well,
When you filed a restraining order, when was that?
November 3rd.
Can I see what you said in the restraining order, please? Okay, This is what you say. You say on November 2nd, which was the date of the abuse, sir, according to you, she did something to you at your house. I want you to tell me what it is that she did.
Okay. The reason why we were fighting is because I found her prescription for Valtrex.
Your Honor, that is not even relevant.
I found her prescription.
That is not why we were fighting.
Listen to me. Don't interrupt him. You explain to me your version of why you were fighting.
Okay, that's fine.
He didn't interrupt.
I'm sorry.
You filed this case and you said he made false allegations against you and you want to be compensated for that.
Correct.
So I have to make a determination. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Go.
Okay. I found a prescription bottle for Valtrex, and I didn't know what it was. I looked it up on the internet and found out that Valtrex is for herpes. So I found out, I assumed that from the prescription or what it was for, that she had herpes. And
Which she gave to me.
And this I didn't know nothing about.
Okay.
Okay.
So I confronted her with it. And that would cause the arguments and the fights.
Ms. Thompson, I don't know whether I would have added this to my complaint, these allegations, because this
He's
is
lying.
Well, this is his version of what
Right.
you were fighting about.
Right,
Well, I
that's
have
not
proof.
what we were fighting about.
I have proof.
No, it's not. That's not what we were fighting about. We were fighting because of domestic violence abuse. That's what we were fighting about.
Well, that starts off with something, you know.
That's because he was out going around sleeping around. It wasn't me sleeping around. It was him that was sleeping around.
Well, that's possible, you see. That's possible. But domestic violence starts from an argument over something.
Correct.
So I would not have broached this issue and put it in a complaint if I were in your position, because there were certain things that are embarrassing, and quite rightfully you don't want them aired. But you brought this case.
That's right.
All right, totally up to you. If you want to withdraw that part of your complaint and just proceed with the stuff that you say you took, I'll be more than happy to drop this part of your complaint and we can move forward. It's up to you. What do you want to do?
No, I don't want to drop that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Thompson says the father of her child, Demetrius Webb, made false complaints to the police in order to get a temporary restraining order. Demetrius claims he was in fear for his life.
Okay, now I know what you were arguing about, sir.
Yes.
I just want you to tell me what you alleged she did to you on November 2nd, that you swore to the judge she did on November 2nd, which allowed the judge to issue a temporary restraining order.
Okay. Well, she threatened to wreck my car.
That's
And
not true.
I don't want... Go ahead.
She threatened to wreck my car. And while I was holding my son, she threw things at me. She threw glasses, a can of beer.
Listen to me, sir. You got to be very, very careful what you tell me. Because according to what I read, that didn't happen on the 2nd of November. That, according
that
to
was
you,
on-
happened in October.
No, that
she-
was one incident. There were several.
I asked you what happened on November 2nd.
The 2nd of November, she also threw things at me, and she attempted to snatch my son out of my arms.
You say she punched me in the face. You
Yes,
forgot that?
and I'm getting to that.
Well, get there,
And
sir.
She punched me in the
No.
face while I was holding my son.
And she scratched you,
Yes.
according to you. All right. Did you have a trial on this protective order?
No, we didn't have a trial.
What happened with it?
He motioned for it to be dismissed.
Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Why?
Because I was out of the home and I was no longer in danger. So there was no need to continue to restrain an order because I wanted her to see her son.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Webb. According to what I read here, and by the way, there's nothing contained in this police write-up about you being punched in the face or scratched. But according to what I read, you went and filed the restraining order the day before she was arrested, correct?
Yes.
So that when you went home on November 3rd, you knew that you had already filed for a restraining order.
Yes.
So the day before, you went in to file for a protective order saying, I'm in imminent danger. That's what you said.
Yes.
And what I don't understand, Mr. Webb, is then you went home. You see, if I went to file for a protective order and I was in imminent danger from somebody, I wouldn't go home to where I knew they were living. Why did you go home on the 3rd?
Okay, because they told me they were going to serve her at work, and she came home early that day. I went home. I was going to get some belongings and leave before she got home. She was home unusually early that day.
And when did you discover she was at home?
When I got there,
Was her car there?
yes,
Well, if her car was outside, sir, then you knew she was home.
yes.
Then what did you go inside for?
I went inside to get some belongings.
Well, Mr. Webb,
He's supposed to-
what I'm saying to you, sir, is if I were afraid for my life and my safety, I would say, I'm going to wait until they serve this lady. I'm not going to go inside. She came home early. Maybe she got a headache. I'm not going to go inside to where she's at now because I'm afraid. If I were really afraid, if it wasn't a ploy to get a little one-upmanship. Now, let me understand something. After she was arrested, how long did you stay in jail?
Not in jail. I was restrained from my house for 7 days.
So you were out of the house for 7 days.
Correct.
Where was your son?
I had my 2 oldest sons with me, and the youngest one was with him because he said that I would put my youngest son in danger or had some anger management problem.
Okay. And then you went into court, sir, and you withdrew the protective order after 7 days. Is that right?
Yes.
You mean in 7 days you got back together, you discussed things nicely with each other?
No, because the danger was in the home. I wasn't in the home anymore. I was moved out.
So this protective order that you filed, sir, the purpose of it was to allow you to peaceably move out of your home. Is that what you're telling me?
No, the purpose of it was allow me to move out of my home without being attacked.
No, the purpose
Just a second. I said to move out of your home peacefully.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Well, then you were abusing the system, sir.
No, I wasn't.
No, because that's not what you wrote here. It's not what you told the judge. If you had said in your moving papers, listen, we've been fighting. I just want to be able to get my things and move out of the house without any problem. Judge would have said, fine. I will give you an order that says that you, in the company of a police officer, may go home, remove your personal property, and leave. That's not what you said here. You said you were in danger, your son was in danger.
In the time when I got the restraining order, I wasn't even planning on moving.
Let me tell you something, sir. When you get a restraining order, common sense dictates that if you are in fear for your safety and well-being, you don't file for a protective order on November 2nd, go home on November 2nd, go home on November 3rd, and then 7 days later withdraw the application once you've moved out. I know exactly what you did. Now, has anybody ever filed for a protective order against you?
Yes.
And who was that?
My ex-wife.
In what year?
In 1990, like 99.
And what happened with that protective order? Was she granted an order of protection or was it dismissed?
Dismissed.
During the time that the protective order was in place, did you have to stay away from your ex-wife?
Yes.
Did you have children together?
No.
Did you have property in the house?
Yes.
Were you allowed to get the property right away or after the protective order was vacated?
After it was served.
After it was served. So you knew the drill.
Yes, that's
right.
That's why
Mr. Webb, I got it, sir. I got the whole thing.
I said I was expecting her. They were going to serve her at work, and she came home unused. She came
knew that
home
Just
early.
a second. Are you telling me, sir, that she had some sort of an epiphany and she knew that something was going to happen, so she came home from work early?
I don't know.
Well,
But
I don't know either. All I know is that you filed for this protective order and you had no right to do it. You didn't file it because you were in imminent fear of your life. You filed it because you wanted an opportunity to get your property out of the house.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I filed it because she
Baloney.
attacked me.
That's a
Don't. Baloney. Now, what personal property do you claim he took that's yours? Don't give me a laundry list. I'm not interested.
He took my clothes, shoes, computer, kitchen items.
I'm not interested in kitchen items.
Well,
I'm not interested
mainly
in...
my clothes and my shoes and my computer.
What would he do with your clothes and your shoes?
Ask him that. I mean, he took even my dirty clothes, underwears and bras, and left only one shoe for each pair.
Let's go. Let's go.
No, I did not take. While she was ordered, I did not take her clothes.
What'd you take?
I took my belongings.
No, you didn't.
Listen, Miss Thompson, if you interrupt again, I'm going to dismiss your claim. Do you understand?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I took my belongings, okay? I took all the furniture in the home, which belonged to me, that I purchased.
What about her computer? Did you take a computer?
Yeah, I took the computer, which was our computer.
Okay. Who purchased the computer?
I purchased the
Be
computer.
careful of what you say to me, because you know I go into it. When you say who bought it, who paid for it?
I did.
Show me.
I don't have, she took all the papers.
Show me.
Right here.
She took all the receipts and everything.
I had this computer ever since I've been going to school. I graduated in June. From the beginning, I started school because all my classes are online.
That doesn't mean
That
she
just
purchased
shows
it.
Well, let me see the bill for it.
That's all they gave me was that
Payment
printout.
history by rental. Is this a...
I rented it from Rent-A-Center, and I was making payments through Rent-A-Center.
Okay, got it. Yeah, it's our computer.
Oh,
No question. It's our computer. Now, all right, let's leave that for a minute. Let's go to money owed for daycare expenses.
Right.
When do you say he agreed to pay for half of your son's daycare?
I believe it was like November of '04.
And where were you when he agreed to pay for half?
We were at the house.
Before or after this altercation on the 2nd or 3rd of November?
It was before.
So it had to be November 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell me where you were both sitting when you had this discussion that he was going to pay for half of the daycare.
In the living room on the couch.
Okay, and tell me about the conversation.
We just made a verbal agreement that he would pay for half of the child care.
Now, when did you make arrangements to go to family court with regard to support for your son?
After November 10th, after he placed the order against me regarding the restraining order.
All right. This is why, Ms. Thompson, that when you lie, it's a bad thing. Very bad thing. Because I'm going to read to you from your complaint that you swore to. You said, Demetrius and I had a verbal agreement that he would pay for half of our son's daycare until everything was resolved in the family court. Now, on November 1st, when you allegedly had this discussion sitting calmly on the couch in your house, you had no family court appointment. You didn't make a family court appointment until you started out with the criminal court with regards to the protective order.
Right.
Right. So you couldn't have had the discussion with him on November 1st.
He had been.
Baloney.
Oh,
baloney.
Okay.
I don't like when you lie. You don't get moving expenses, sir. You moved out? Good for you. You weren't getting along? That's the way it goes. I think that what you did was the wrong thing, even though she lied to me, and I usually don't like that, and I would not reward her. But I think that what you did to her by filing this protective order was nothing more than vicious and vindictive. You could have handled it in a much more civilized way by saying, I'm moving out, and you could have moved out your things very easily while she was at work. And you don't have to have her, mother of your child, in a situation where she has a criminal record, where she's taken into custody, where she's served with a protective order, where she's prevented from going to her own home. You did the wrong thing, and that's going to cost you $2,500. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She caught her blatantly lying and still awarded her.
I'm really grateful that, she made that decision.
If she's lying, I mean, that's it. Everything's a lie.
He was a total liar in the room.
She was lying about everything.
And the judge proved it, and I'm just really grateful that this is over with.
She created a violent situation.
He was cussing at me, calling me all kinds of names in front of my 3-year-old child.
I was upset, but, I was like, okay, well, that's it. I'm moving. That's it.
There ain't no future. We just have a communication between me and our son, and that's it.
I'm just going to take care of my son like I've been doing,
And I want him to have a part of his son's life, but he's not doing nothing now. He can't even pick him up on the days that the judge granted him to pick him up on.
I'm just going to take care of my son, and maybe he'll see this one day and realize what kind of mother he got.
16-year-old Manaz Soleimani and her mother, Mary Safapur, is suing 15-year-old Carrie McAtee and her mother, Kathy. Manaz says Carrie wrecked her car on the way home from a party. She also says Carrie had been smoking pot.
This is case number 61 on the calendar in the matter of Soleimani versus Safapur versus McAtee. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Bird, we have another case of Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber. The junior ones. What's your name?
Manaz.
And how old are you?
16.
And you?
Carrie.
How old are you?
15.
Did you have permission to take your car out that evening?
No, ma'am.
So you mean you took your mother's car?
My sister's.
How old is your sister?
She is 17.
So you took your sister's car without permission?
Yes, ma'am.
But it wasn't your sister's car because your sister's 17. She can't own a car.
Oh.
So the car belonged to your mother.
Yeah.
So you took your mother's car without permission?
Yes.
And you went to
I went to pick up Carrie and her friend and then to go to a party.
So you went to a party?
Yes.
Did you have a driver's license?
No, ma'am.
And you went to the party?
Yes.
And you were with her?
I was at her house before we left for the party, and we both went and picked up another friend.
And while you were at the party, you were drinking?
Yes.
What were you drinking?
Alcohol.
Got where we're going?
Oh, I'm already there.
And you had too much to drink, so it was time to leave?
No, the cops came.
Cops came. Police came. Now, this party, was it someone's home?
Yes.
A boy or a girl?
A boy.
Let me guess, his parents weren't home?
Yeah, yes, they were.
They were home. Why did the police show up at the party?
Because everyone was smoking and drinking and...
Smoking what?
Weed.
Smoking marijuana?
Yes.
Where were the parents when this was going on?
The mom was home buying the alcohol for kids, and I don't know where was the dad, but I know the mom was home.
Now, was Kerry smoking marijuana?
Yes.
Were you?
Yes.
Honest. So the police were called, the police were coming, and then it was time for you to leave. You didn't want to drive home because you had too much to drink?
Yes.
So Kerry drove home.
Yes.
But on the way home, she hit a car.
Yeah.
And that's what this case is about, because you feel as if it's appropriate for Kerry and or her mother to pay for half of the damage to both your car and the car that was hit.
Exactly.
And Kerry's mother says,
no.
Why?
Because I was misled at the time. I had had several conversations with Mary before these two went to this party. They'd only been friends
Who's
for a
Mary?
few weeks.
Which one's Mary?
Is a mother.
Okay.
Because we were both concerned about what our daughters were getting into in their recent behavior. I was fully led to believe that Naz was a licensed driver. Several times she drove my child home from school. They both went to a party in another town.
Who led you?
Mary herself told me what a good driver Naz was.
Let's talk about the 29th of December.
Well, I'm believing that Naz is a licensed driver, so I agreed to pay for half of the deductible.
Just a second. Let's look at the objective data. This young lady has told me that without permission, she took her sister's car, who's 17, so it's really her mother's car, without permission.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your daughter knows that she doesn't have a license, correct?
Correct.
Your daughter knows that it's against the law to smoke marijuana. Is that correct?
Correct.
Your daughter knows that she should not have gotten behind the wheel of a car to drive. Correct.
Correct.
And your daughter was the one who was driving while under the influence of a controlled substance when she hit a car.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Correct.
And if what you're telling me is you do not believe that she bears at least partial responsibility, I would like you to explain why.
I do believe she is responsible for what is not covered and paid for by the insurance policy on the vehicle by the owner.
Okay. Now let me explain something to you, madam. She is not obligated, first of all, to put this claim through her insurance. Even if she did, it is more than likely that they would disclaim on the policy because the person who drove the car was not a licensed driver.
Well, Your Honor, I don't mean to interrupt you. She needs to take better control of her own daughters. And had I not been misled by her in the beginning about Naz having her own driver's license, not carrying her sister's in her wallet, this relationship would have ended long before that. My daughter would not have been in that party or that car.
Listen, get your head out from where it shouldn't be. Your daughter would have been there. If you think that your daughter wouldn't have been at a party smoking your daughter wasn't smoking marijuana because she let them use the car. Your daughter's 15 years old. I would be more concerned with my 15-year-old daughter going to a party where the police had to be called to break up the party where there was marijuana being smoked and alcohol being served than I would over the responsibility to pay for half the damage that she did to the car. So we have dumb, dumber, and dumber. Okay.
Can you do me a favor?
What?
Can I have a copy of this?
Yeah. You want to show it to someone?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Good. Let me see the estimates on the damage to the car, please.
This is the estimate of the other part of the car.
Okay.
This is the check that I paid, and this is the estimate of my car.
Okay.
And
May
we
I
have
have it,
some
please?
pictures.
What?
We have some pictures.
I don't need pictures. I got the picture. What do you want to do with the tape of this? Tell me what you want to do with it.
Your Honor, I have teenage children.
Yeah.
Uh,
Got it. I got
and
it.
teenage nieces and nephews. I
got
want
it.
them to see this one.
I got it. Stupid people.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. 16-year-old Manaz Soleimani says her former friend, 15-year-old Carrie McAtee, wrecked her car. Manaz says Carrie had been smoking pot.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I say something?
No, you said enough. You don't want to appear any more stupid than you already appear. Now, let's get to you. You got to keep better control of your daughter.
That's right.
You understand that?
Yes.
Your 16-year-old daughter and your 17-year-old daughter shouldn't have a car.
She has her driver license, my older one.
And this one?
No, this one has...
This one!
Yes, they already told Naz not to hang out with Kathy.
Just a second.
Not to hang
I'm
out.
talking about allowing her to use
Yes,
a car.
Yes, you're right.
You've done that.
No, I didn't let her to drive the car.
Are you telling me that you've never allowed her to drive the car before?
Alone, no. Never alone. Just
With whom?
With me. Because she has her permit.
She has a learner's permit.
Yes. So she never, that's why they drive. Miriam gives both of them a ride to school.
Listen to me very carefully. Something's not happening right with this car. So I wouldn't let either one of them use it. You understand what I'm saying to you? It's up to you. She's half responsible for the damage she did to the car. She was under the influence of drugs. She shouldn't have gotten behind the wheel. She shouldn't have been using the drugs to begin with. She knew she had no license. She's responsible for half the damage that she caused. But I'm telling you that you better keep better control of your daughter, because your daughter is out of control. Because not only was she smoking marijuana that night, she was also using alcohol, and she was in no condition to drive, which is what put her behind the wheel in the first place. Do you understand?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,425.50. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I do believe that we were partially responsible.
Both of the girls did something stupid, and both of them are responsible for this.
She's lucky that my daughter was not injured.
She never drove by herself. I always drive her to school, and everyone knows.
She had been drinking like straight Bacardi and had been smoking.
I got grounded. My mom took away all my stuff.
I hadn't been smoking as much as either of the girls.
Parents should be more careful, because drinking is very easy. They can drink all the time, and they can buy weeds all the time as well.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kurlanchik versus McEnany Burt. Step forward.
24-year-old teacher Jennifer Kurlanchik is suing her friends, 23-year-old student Paul McEnany and 24-year-old inventory controller Mike Burt, for damages to a Hummer limo she rented on her birthday. Jennifer claims they broke the sunroof.
Ms. Kurlanchik, you rented a limousine to celebrate, I assume, your 24th birthday, and you invited a whole group of people to go with you. Two of the people you invited were these two gentlemen here, who, according to you, got a little out of hand and caused damage to the limousine. You were charged for the damage, and you want them to contribute to the cost of the damage that they did themselves. They say everybody was sort of involved in the nonsense, right?
Yes.
How old are you?
23.
What's your first name?
Paul.
24. Mike.
First name?
Jennifer.
What do you do for a living, Jennifer?
I'm a special ed teacher.
Paul?
I'm a student, and I bartend.
Student of what?
Student in advertising.
Logistics management, and work as inventory control clerk, and as well as go to school.
Look what responsible people we have here. When was your birthday?
February 29th.
How big was the limousine?
Could fit 15 people. It was a H2 Hummer limousine, so it's pretty large.
I've seen those things driving in the street. I see them coming about a block away. And how do you know these? And how do you know these two guys?
We're friends. We're in the same fraternity, sorority. We're all friends. We're friends.
We're friends.
What kind of damage was done to the limousine?
The emergency exit window flew off on a major highway, shattered pieces, and I was charged the damages.
You mean the roof, like a sunroof?
Yes, it's actually a moonroof, and it flew off. There's 3 ledges to unlatch, and the boys unlatched it, and around 2:30 in the morning, it flew off. I didn't see it fly off. That's my witness saw.
How do you know it was these two boys that unlatched the moonroof?
Well, when the incident happened, Mike looked at me and said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." And I didn't know what actually had happened. I was like, "Okay, fine, you can take care of it." After the incident happened, Paul comes up to me and he says, "Well, I was touching a button that made the sunroof go up and down." And that's where I was like, oh, so Paul and Mike were doing it. They were also at the back of the vehicle where the sunroof was located, along with Tracy and one of her friends.
So that's all that you know about how this happened?
Mm-hmm.
Step up. Tell me your name.
My name's Tracy.
Tracy what?
Thompson.
Were you sitting at a location where you could observe these two young men?
The way the limo was set up is there's 2 doors in the back. There was a bench seat that went across there, and I was sitting right there. At the top where the moonroof was, there was a stereo, buttons to turn on the lights in the bar. At that point in time, I had seen people playing with all the lights because lights were changing, everything was moving around. Then all of a sudden, moonroof flew off the top of the car. It was gone. Both of these two looked at each other like, what do we do now? So,
how many people were sitting in their general vicinity?
There was one other person sitting next to me, and it was me. It was these two in front of us. And then the rest of the limo went down with people sitting all the way down in the front.
Now you say other people were touching the buttons, other than Mike and Paul?
Not that I know of.
So it was just Mike and Paul touching the buttons?
They were the only two that could touch the buttons. There was nobody else around.
Okay. Did you say to Jennifer when the moonroof flew off, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it"?
That's correct. I did say that, but that was at the end of the night.
Okay. Now when you said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it," were you referring to the moonroof?
No, I was referring to the driver because he was getting a little irate and telling us, "Who's paying for it? Who's paying for it?" And as we stopped, the car exited, I told her, you know, we're going to take care of it. We're going to help you out as far as to talking to the limo driver, saying who was at fault and this, that, and the other.
Not this, that, and the other thing. So you said to her, don't worry, I'll take care of it, because you were going to explain to the limo driver whose fault it was.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do that?
Well, no, at the point in time she asked me to leave, so I left.
So you didn't?
No.
Well, let's say that you did go to the limo driver to
Mhm.
explain whose fault it was. What would you have told the limo driver?
I told him what...
Look at me. No, right here.
All right. Basically, I told him...
Not basically.
I would have told him that it wasn't explained to us that this is an emergency escape hatch, because they said later on it's an emergency escape hatch and it was labeled. No, it wasn't labeled, and the driver never explained to us.
Then you were going to be arguing with him. Let me explain this to you, Mike. Basically, you would have said to the driver, I was touching the buttons with my friend Paul, and the moonroof fell off, but nobody explained to us that it was an emergency door, and it wasn't marked, so how are we supposed to know that it was an emergency door? Is that what you would have said to him?
In so many words, yes.
In less words than you just told me.
Yeah, hopefully.
So you would have said, yeah, we did it. But we didn't know if we touched these buttons and that sort of stuff that this moonroof was going to fall off. It was not properly marked.
Right.
But we did it.
Well, the only thing I had to do with it was I closed it when we got to Dallas. We were leaving from Denton to Dallas. Somebody opened it other than me and Paul. When we got to Dallas, I closed it. That's the last thing I had to do with it. And everybody's pointing fingers at me for some reason. And I'm trying to tell her, no, it's not me. And she doesn't want to buy that. She wants to say, yeah, you did
Somebody
it.
else.
She just basically wants to get her money back.
From what Jennifer told me is there were 3 different latches too, and the only thing I ever touched was the one front latch that I thought would push it up, and it went flying off. So those 2 latches had to be undone, and I know other people around that area. I wouldn't, yeah.
Okay. Now, why did you push that one latch up?
Just to open. I thought it was a sunroof. It looked like a sunroof. Nobody told us it was an emergency exit.
You just wanted to get some air.
Yeah.
There's 15 bodies, body heat, and everything else. So we opened it up.
So, Jennifer, what?
I have warning signs on the sunroof as well as the latches. There had to be some work done to get these latches to come off. It's not a simple button. It's not
Well,
a simple
maybe it wasn't their fault, my dear. Maybe it was the fault of the limousine.
Can I
Maybe.
say that?
Shh.
Sorry.
Why, you want to fight with me about that?
No.
Maybe it was the fault of the limousine.
Well, I told everybody in this limousine, you do anything, you cause any damages, you break any glass, you're going to be responsible for it, because I had to sign basically.
Shh. Where are you now?
Here.
What is here?
Judge Judy.
My space. Go ahead.
I had to sign a blank credit card slip that says we're going to charge you $600 for the flat rate.
Jennifer, my dear, you take 15 people out for an evening of partying. You sign on for a 15-passenger Hummer limousine, and you are going to expect that some damage might be done, for which you are going to be responsible. There isn't a shred of credible evidence that these 2 young men are responsible for that emergency exit. Not at all. The fact that they were sitting around there, the fact that they may have been touching it, the fact that he went to open up one of the latches to let some air in, that doesn't make him responsible. I don't even know if you're responsible. It's quite possible that there was a malfunction by the car. And the fact that the limousine company is charged a credit card, perhaps you should sue them.
The fact that they touched the roof and then
So
the
what?
lid flew off.
So what? So what? That doesn't make it their fault. I am not satisfied that you have sustained your burden to demonstrate that these 2 young men are responsible, that they either negligently, recklessly caused the damage to the limousine. It is just as plausible that someone else had touched one or more of those things at some point during the evening, and when he opened up one latch to let in some air, the thing fell off. That's also plausible. That doesn't make him responsible. And if the limousine company refuses to give you back your money, sue them. Because I don't think you have a case against these 2 young men. That's all. Case is dismissed.
All these like speech, you step out.
I think justice was served.
Now I'm out $700 for an action that I had no part of that they clearly did.
I think she lost her money, and she's just trying to get her money back, and it's, easy target.
We were celebrating my birthday. Of course we were, partying.
Well, we were having a good time. Next thing you know, the sunroof, moonroof, whatever you want to call it, it flew off.
One thing led to another. Sunroof flies off. Both boys say, shh, look at each other. They're guilty. I mean, they caused it to fly off.
She blames us, and she'd rather choose money over friendship, and I think that's really wrong.
We're friends, stuff happens.
Well, hopefully we can have a beer and and get over it. We'll see what happens.
Utico versus Corona. Step forward.
Accountant Michelle Utico is suing her ex-boyfriend, plumber Stephen Corona, for ramming her Toyota 4Runner with his truck. Stephen claims Michelle is making up a story.
Miss Utico, this gentleman used to be your boyfriend, and according to your complaint, he got angry with you one evening and he intentionally damaged your truck. And Mr. Corona says that while he was angry that evening, he didn't do anything to your car, right?
That's correct.
Tell me when Mr. Corona damaged your car.
That evening, after I dropped him off at home.
What evening?
May 21st a.m., May 20th, midnight.
And where had you been?
We were first at my house, and we got into an argument, and then I dropped him off at his house.
What'd you get into an argument about?
Just general things, what couples normally get in arguments about.
I usually get into an argument with my husband about how many pairs of shoes I bring home.
Okay.
So what were you arguing about?
You know, I don't recall what the argument was about, but we got into one, and I dropped him off at home like he wanted to go. He wanted to leave, so I took him home.
What time?
It's probably about 10 or 11 at night.
And where did you go when you dropped him off?
I went over to his house.
What's his name?
This is my friend Frank. And I was there with a couple of friends. We were sitting on the front porch, and then that's when he showed up.
And Mr. Corona, you acknowledged that you came looking for her.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And what happened when he came looking for you?
Well, he had asked for me to get into my truck and go home, to let's go home.
When he told you to get into your truck and let's go home, was he in his car or out of his car?
He was out of his car at the time. He parked next to my car on the street, and he got off of his car and pretty much demanding for me to leave. And with the look in his eyes pretty much looked violent, and I did not want to go, so I didn't.
He told you to get in the car and go home?
Yeah.
And what did you say to him?
Well, I was going to go. But then I turned around and I said, no, I'm not going.
What did you say to him?
I didn't say anything to him.
When he said get in the car, did you tell him okay?
Yeah, I said okay. Yeah,
well, that's what I'm asking you. That's what I'm asking. It's not a hard question. Okay. I'm just trying to follow the events. What happened starting from once upon a time and ending with the end. So he got out of his car and he said, get in the car, I want you to go home. He says he acknowledges he said that to you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said okay.
Right.
And he says that that's what you said. You said you would follow him, right?
She said she was going to go home to meet her there.
But then you decided not to go home.
Yes, I decided not to go home.
So you turned around and you said to your friend,
right?
Frank.
Correct.
Frank, could you sit up, please? Sit up. Good. Thank you, Frank. You said to Frank and his friends, I'm not going with him.
That's correct.
And you went back to the porch.
Right.
So far, your stories are exactly the same. But here's where we come to a fork in the road.
Right.
What happened next, Miss Utico?
Well, he got upset. He got into his car, and he wrecked into my car, which was not good enough for him, so he sped off and made a U-turn and came back around and wrecked even more into my car. And then
what do you mean wrecked? I don't know.
He wrecked his car into my car.
You mean he hit his car into your truck?
Yes, he hit his car into mine. So.
And he did that twice?
He did it twice.
Mr. Corona?
Yes, ma'am.
I read your answer, and you flatly deny that this is the way it happened. So I have a few questions for you. Mr. Corona.
Yes.
What did you have an argument with Miss Utico about that evening?
We were arguing about her staying home and her wanting to go out, and I was trying to get her to stay home, but she insisted on leaving. She told me that she had to get up to go to work in the morning. That's why she wanted to drop me off, because usually I stay the night there. And it was kind of odd that she wanted me to go home, because she actually picked me up, and usually I drive over there, but she picked me up earlier, and then she dropped me off. You know, she insisted on dropping me off.
I don't... Excuse me, ma'am.
So, you cared about her a lot?
Sure. Very much so.
You the jealous type?
No, but I...
A little bit?
Sure, isn't everybody?
I don't know. Depends upon if you've got something to be jealous about. So let me understand this, Mr. Corona. Your girlfriend tells you she's got to get up early in the morning and she drives you home.
That's what she said.
You've got something in the back of your head that says, what's your first name?
Steve.
Steve. Steve, something's not kosher here. Because I usually spend the night, so I'm going to get into my car and go and look for her. Right? That's what you did.
Exactly.
And you're driving around, and something said, why don't you go over to old Frank's house? So you had the feeling maybe she was over there fooling around with Frank, right?
Possibly.
Well, you were going to give it a look-see anyway, right?
Sure.
I mean, is that what happened? Sure, that's where your car ended up.
Sure.
And then, sure enough, Your girlfriend of a year and a half who had to get up early to go out to do something the next day, there she was, sitting, chilling with Frank on the porch. And you double parked your car next to hers.
Exactly next to hers on the side. Parallel.
And you got out of the car and you said, I want you to get into the car and come home with me. Right?
She said
and
yes.
she said
yes.
Yes.
She said, I'm going to follow you. I'll meet you at my house.
I'm going to follow you home. I'm going to meet you home. And then she didn't.
That's right.
And then, according to your answer, you went home and went to sleep.
That's right.
That's wrong.
First, before I went home, I had went to her house and I waited in the front for her at her house.
Just a second. So you actually followed her direction and you went home.
Yeah.
How long did you sit in your car in front of her house waiting for her?
About 20 minutes.
Until he broke into my house.
Don't speak. 20 minutes?
About 20 minutes.
20 minutes. And while you were waiting this 20 minutes, did you start to get upset?
No.
You started to get, just a second, you started to get, if you weren't upset, did you start to get hungry?
I was.
Shh. Did you start to get hungry? Tired?
Yeah, tired, yes.
So you were tired?
Yes, I was tired.
And you said, forget it.
Exactly.
She made a fool out of me.
I'm done with it.
I'm finished with her.
That's right.
She made a real fool out of me this time because she made a fool out of me earlier in the evening when she drove me home. And she was maybe going to have somebody else come and stay over, but it wasn't going to be me that night. And now I went over there and made a fool out of myself in front of other people. And she made a bigger fool out of me, so you went home and went to sleep.
I threw in the towel.
Could I see the pictures of the car, please? You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Well, you made the report the very next day.
Right.
What happened? Did they ever come to see you, Mr. Corona? The police?
No, ma'am.
They never came to see you?
No, ma'am.
You live in Los Angeles?
Yes.
They're probably real busy. Mr. Corona, I'm going to ask a question, but you don't even have to answer, Mr. Corona. I want you to look at my face. It's a nice face, right? You wouldn't lie to this face, Mr. Corona, would you? So I don't even want you to answer me, sir. Did it feel good? Did it feel good? It's going to cost you $2,284.56. I hope it felt that good. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Is suing his ex-girlfriend, Kim Hicks, and her son, 15-year-old Wendell Hicks, for medical bills resulting from a fistfight with Wendell. Wendell says Jeff had been spreading rumors about him and a female friend.
Yeah, this is case number 275 in the case of Radcliffe versus Hicks. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. Radcliffe, you and this lady, Miss Hicks, had been involved in a relationship. And according to your complaint, there was an altercation where you came to her rescue. She was having an altercation with her son, I assume this young man. As a result of that, you were injured, and Miss Hicks agreed to pay your medical bills. She has not done so. You are no longer a couple, and you want your medical bills paid. Ms. Hicks says that you were the aggressor in this altercation with her son. She is suing you for damaging her home and for injuring her son. Is that right?
Correct.
When did this take place, Mr. Radcliffe?
It was July 8th, 2003.
Tell me how it started.
Well, we received a phone call at the house.
Who's we?
My son and I.
Who answered the phone?
My son. And
Step up. I wasn't saying hello. I was telling you to stand up. Tell me your name.
Alex Ratcliffe.
Alex, did you receive a phone call on the 8th of July?
Yes, I did.
Who was on the other end of the phone?
Initially, I heard Kim screaming in the background.
Kim, is that you? Miss Hicks.
Miss Hicks. I initially heard her screaming in the background, but Wendell was talking to me, and he asked to speak to my father. And when I went to go give my dad the phone, I heard her in the background screaming for help and asking for my dad.
You went and got your father?
Yes, I went and got my dad and gave him the phone.
What happened when you picked up the phone? Who was on the other end?
it was Wendell Hicks on the phone indicating to he was coming to my house to kick my butt, him and 4 boys, because I was supposedly spreading rumors about him and some girl in the neighborhood.
So he said he was coming to your house?
Yes. And he hung up. I returned the phone call back. You could still hear Kim hollering and screaming bloody murder in the background.
What did you hear?
She was just screaming for help,
Well, what did you actually hear her say?
for Wendell to leave her alone.
Okay.
And when the phone call came, I called back because he had hung up, and I'd asked for him to explain himself. For why is he coming to my house? He said it was due to because I supposedly spread some rumor about him putting a hickey on the neighbor girl's neck. And so I asked to speak to his mom because I could hear her in the background just screaming bloody murder, and so he hung up the phone. And so I felt the need to go there because she had explained to me many times before.
Just a second. Don't tell me what she explained to you before. Tell me what happened when you got there. You felt the need to go over there.
I went over there, knocked on the door, and the boy had let me in. I come in the door, and
Which boy let you in?
Wendell Hicks let me in.
Go ahead.
He opened the door, let me in, and I come through the door, and to the right of me was two friends of hers in the house. Wendell proceeded to go back around the corner where he had his mom pinned in the corner, and she was screaming.
How was she pinned in the corner?
Just backed up to the corner.
Okay, he didn't have his hands on her.
Yeah, he was right up in her face.
No, but he didn't have his hands on her.
Not at this time.
Okay, so what did you do?
I come up around him, come around the countertop there, and told him to leave her alone. He turned and swung at me and hit me in my left ear with his right arm. At that time, I took him down to the ground and set on him. And he kept trying to hit me in the face, and I grabbed his wrists to avoid him hitting me. I was sitting on him, and I kept asking, "Are you finished? Is this out of you?" And he said, "Yes," on top of him saying a lot of other foul things, how he's going to shoot me and my kids, and he was going to kill my dogs and burn my fence down. And after about 15, 20 minutes of trying to calm him down, I asked him, "Are you finished?" And finally he said, "Yes." I got up, we kind of shook it off, and the next thing I know, he's coming charging at me with a windmill effect. And in doing so, I put him in a headlock, like with his body sticking out this way, and I wrenched up on him to keep him from doing any more damage. And in doing so, I separated this cartilage here in my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And probably another 15, 20 minutes to hold him like that, a few other cuss words were coming out, and I asked, "Are you finished?" And finally he said yes. His sister come through the door after I just let him go, and she backed him all the way down the hall, and that was the last I'd seen of him.
Okay. How long had you been seeing his mother in July of 2003?
Approximately a year.
And after July of 2003, did you continue to see her?
Not right away. She kept calling, complaining because I would never take her nowhere, never do nothing with her, never let her meet any of my friends. I told her to go find another boyfriend. And so it's like, there's no big deal to me, and she did. She found another one. She kept calling me, telling me how the progress was going. Finally, after about a couple of weeks, she said she broke it up with him for whatever reason. Then she eventually started calling me all the time.
When did you stop seeing her?
As of this year of May, Mother's Day weekend.
And when did you start getting these bills?
I was getting these bills probably 6 months after the incident had happened. You know, she said she was going to take care of it because her son had done some damage to my fence back in June. She took care of that immediately. She said she'd take care of these medical bills as well because
When did she tell you she was going to take care of the medical bills?
Pillow talk. It was when we were, you know.
And you believed her?
Oh, yeah. I had no doubt to.
Okay. How old are you, Wendell?
I'm 15.
Who was this girl that you supposedly gave a hickey to?
Emily.
Is Emily your girlfriend?
No.
Did you give her a hickey?
Yes.
So why were you angry at Mr. Radcliffe for telling people that you gave Emily a hickey?
Because he was spreading rumors around the trailer court, and I had
Spreading rumors about what?
About me giving her hickeys and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, it wasn't a rumor about you giving her a hickey. According to you, you gave Emily a hickey.
Yeah, I did.
You did? Okay, so why did you call him that day? Were you just angry?
I was mad that he was spreading my family business around the trailer court.
Okay, so when you called him, his son answered the phone?
Yes.
And what did you say to his son?
I asked to talk to his dad.
What did you say to him?
I was like, "Jeff, why are you spreading rumors around?"
And what did he say to you?
He's like, "What in the F are you talking about?"
And what did you say to him?
I was like, "About me and Emily." And he was like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." So he hung up with me. So I went back to my mom's house and I asked her why. She told him because it was supposed to stay between me, Emily, and Emily's stepdad.
Because Emily's stepfather was angry with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So you went home and you confronted your mother?
Yes.
And you were angry with your mother for telling him
Yes.
things? And then did you call Mr. Radcliffe back?
He called me back.
While you were confronting your mother?
Yes.
And when you were confronting your mother, were you raising your voice?
No.
No. Did your mother admit to you that she had shared your secret with Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
And you told her she had no business doing that?
Yes.
You see how we get into this story?
Did very good.
It's a whole different story than she wrote in her answer, but at least we're going to get to the bottom of it. You got to start with the most vulnerable one.
That's right.
Right? You got to start with the one who's not quite swift enough to tell you a lie. Now, when Mr. Radcliffe came over to the house, were you still arguing with your mother?
No.
What happened when he came into the house?
He came up, banged on the door. The door came off the latch. He just came in, and then he came up and got in my face, and I asked him what was going on.
He got in your face?
Yes.
And what did he say when he got in your face, Wendell?
You effing little punk.
Well, he must have been angry because you must have said something to him, Wendell, like you were going to come over and kick his and get your friends to come over because he was spreading these rumors about you and Emily's hickey. Did you threaten him?
No.
You mean you just said why? You just said like this?
I said it in a rude voice, yes.
In a rude voice?
In a rude voice, yeah.
And did you have the same kind of rude voice when you were talking to your mother?
No.
You mean you went over to her and you were very, very calm when you say, why did you share private information
Yes.
with
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Radcliffe? You said it quietly.
Not quietly, but in a normal voice.
Now, did you have any injuries as a result of this altercation with Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes, my back was killing me.
Your back was killing you?
Yeah.
When did it stop killing you?
Oh, a couple days after.
Now, your sister, at one point, came into the room when you were having this altercation with Mr. Radcliffe.
Yes.
Your sister's name is?
Jessica.
And how old is Jessica?
She's 19.
And Jessica took you out of the room?
Yeah.
Right. She said, calm down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Shooting fish in a barrel.
Oh, you're good. You are good.
Can I see your medical bills, please? Now, Mrs. Hicks, did you ever tell Mr. Radcliffe that you would pay his medical bills?
No, ma'am. The only injuries he got was a couple rug burns. When he come up to my door and was banging on my door, he busted my door to pieces. He come in. Me and Wendell was standing in the kitchen talking. He got in his face. Wendell goes, Jeff, can you back up? And Jeff took his hands like this, went boom into the side of the cabinet. And Wendell was going like, you know, like this. What are you doing? He just started attacking him. He took him down. He broke my stove. He had him on the floor, punching him in the face.
Miss Hicks, listen to me very carefully. What you're telling me is that Mr. Radcliffe assaulted your son for no reason.
They got into
Is that right?
Yes.
And I have a question for you. After July 8th, 2003, did you ever sleep with Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Even though he assaulted your son without provocation. Is that right?
Yes. It was 3 days after the incident.
So 3 days after, it wasn't even 6 months later, it was 3 days after the incident that you, the mother of this assaulted child who had terrible backache from being assaulted without provocation from Mr. Radcliffe, went to bed with him.
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe, this is your problem, sir. I believe what you told me with regard to how this incident happened. Not everything. I think that you probably busted the door a little bit. I'm not sure whether Wendell opened the door calmly and said, why don't you come on in? I'm not sure about all those things. What I don't believe is that she agreed to pay your medical bills. And we know, I gather from these papers, that there is currently an action pending against you for stalking Miss Hicks. Now, I'm not getting into that, but according to Miss Hicks, you did not file this claim for your medical bills until a couple of days after she either filed and or served you with this stalking complaint, which is well over a year later, a year after the incident. So the issue that I have to resolve is whether she put you in harm's way or you put yourself in harm's way when you went over to her house. And there were several things that you could have done on the 8th of July. One of them is if you actually believed that Miss Hicks was in danger, you should have called the police.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, girlfriend Kim Hicks and her son, 15-year-old Wendell Hicks, promised to pay his medical bills after he had a fist fight with Wendell.
Now, you were angry because Wendell over here opened up his big fresh mouth to you and you went over there. And this altercation occurred because of that, because if you were genuinely concerned with Miss Hicks, you would have called 911 and said, get a squad car over there as soon as possible. Her son's beating her up. So you were annoyed with Wendell and you went over there to confront him. And if you got hurt, that's the way it goes. Case is dismissed. That's all. So's your counterclaim.
Officer, excuse me. Step out.
broke my door down. He assaulted my child.
He has no respect for no one, let alone himself.
She showed my dad, myself, and my brother all the bruises that she's gotten from all of her kids before.
I have never had any bruises on my body.
He's a bully of the neighborhood. He wants to pick on anybody and everybody.
They can think what they want to think. I know the truth.
The only reason why she filed this stalking order is because I've got a new girlfriend.
Document processor Cindy Evans is suing fellow motorist, 26-year-old payment researcher Shertara Zachary for damage to her vehicle. Shertara says Cindy should be suing her sister.
This is case number 412 in the calendar in the matter of Evans versus Zachary. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Evans, sometime last year, according to your complaint, you were in an automobile accident and your car was totaled.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that the accident was the fault of the other driver and that the defendant, Miss Zachary, is that other driver.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Zachary says she doesn't know you, she's never seen you before, and if your car was in an accident, it wasn't her fault. She had nothing to do with it. That's your defense. Is that right? Is that right?
Yes.
When was the accident?
On May the 14th of 2003.
Where?
Lakeview Terrace. Lakeview Terrace.
Which is in what?
California. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Anyway, I was going one way and somebody in a Ford Bronco came out of a driveway in front of me. Wasn't even watching where she was going, and I had nowhere to go. I wound up plowing into her car. And it wound up totaling the front end of my car.
So the car, the Ford Bronco, was coming out of a driveway?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that car damaged?
A little bit. It had a little bit of paint on it, but it was a, it was a big SUV.
And what kind of car were you driving?
1988 Toyota Corolla SR5, two-door sport coupe.
Small car.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the first time you've seen the defendant since the accident?
Yes.
Now, after the cars collided, what did you do? Did you get out of your car?
Slowly, yeah, I did. I got out.
And the driver of the other car?
She got out. And
did you exchange information?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
So at some point you had to have been face to face?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Do you have a copy of the police report?
I have a copy of a little form that the police gave
I'd like to
us,
see it, please.
plus the information that she wrote down for me.
Is what you're telling me that the defendant wrote out her name and her address?
Yes, ma'am.
So after this happened, tell me your insurance company did what?
Well, first of all, I only have liability on my car, which of course I've learned since then, and now I've got uninsured motorists on my car. But they told me to protect me, that they would try to go after her after my explaining how the whole accident happened, and they deemed that it was not my fault. And they did everything they could to try to go after her and contact her, and they were unsuccessful. So they eventually had to close the case. And I kept trying to contact her based on the numbers that I had on the paper that I gave you, and left messages, that type of thing. Never spoke with her. Then I got a call from somebody, a lady, left a message on my voicemail telling me that she had died. It was about a month and a half later.
And who had died?
The person who claims to be the one who hit my car. First of all, I need to clarify something. It was a different name than what this defendant's going under.
What do you mean it was a different name?
Well, I have found out that it's not the same person, that the name that was given to me is not the same person that's in this room.
Well, what is your first name?
Shertara.
Shertara. And Starwishi, Eddington. Who is that?
That's my sister.
Bird, I'd like you to take a piece of paper, hand the defendant a pencil and a paper for me, would you please? Miss Zachary, I want you to print your sister's name. Print it, quickly. Full name. And I want you to print 12 bill. Now I want you to write it. And her address. Could you hand that to me, please? Thank you. Okay, So you tried to contact her.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
couldn't. You got a call from some lady that said that the person who you were trying to reach was dead.
Yes, that's correct.
And what brought you to the defendant?
Well, I gave up thinking I had no other place to go, and then about 3 months ago, I got an actual call from Starwishy Eddington. She had got notification from the California DMV about the
She
accident.
had gotten what?
Notification that her license was going to be suspended because I had reported the accident to the state like I was supposed to. And she eventually got my information to contact me. And she told me that, you know, it was not her, that she even had a letter from her sister saying that the vehicle was hers, that she was not involved in the accident. She wanted to meet with me to see, for me to see for myself that it was not her, which we did do that. I could see from the moment I saw her that she was not the person I got into the accident with. She also produced a picture with 3 girls in it, and I happened to point out the person I had the accident with, and she told me it was Shatara. So at that point...
Okay, I'll hear you.
Okay.
The only thing I have to say is that it was my sister. It was my car. I let my sister use it. She got into the accident with my sister. And the only thing that I can think of her blaming it on me is because she needs her license for her job.
Can you think of any reason why Miss Evans would identify you as the person she had the accident with?
I don't know. I look just like my sister. I wish I would have brought a picture. We look alike. A lot alike.
You look very much alike?
Very much alike.
So it would
same
be
height
easy,
and everything.
So it would be easy to confuse the two of you.
It is. We're the same height, same hair color, same complexion. We're the
Are
same.
you the same age?
She is 2 years older than me.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I do have additional evidence, and I do have a witness I'd like to produce if I can.
I'll be happy to hear the witness and see the evidence.
Who is it?
It's her sister.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Cindy Evans says her car was hit by fellow motorist Shatara Zachary. Shatara claims she's being framed by one of her sisters.
Excuse me.
There's a family resemblance, but you don't look exactly alike. What's your name?
Starwishy Eddington.
Would you have the witness please write down her name? Where do you live, Miss Eddington?
Van Nuys.
What's your address?
153
Who
apartment.
lives at Hill?
Her mom. My mother.
Your mother. Could you write your name, please?
Yes.
And I want you to write Hill. Thank you. Can I have that back, please? How many sisters do you have?
2, 3. Mm-hmm. No, because I was, 3. 3. 3 biological sisters.
What are their names?
Keisha.
Keisha what?
Keisha Nicole.
Go ahead.
Antoinette and Shatara Zachary.
You're the only Eddington, is that right?
I'm a Zachary too, but I got married, so yeah, I'm the only Eddington, yes.
Very interesting. You have a letter, allegedly from the defendant, indicating that she was the driver of that car?
She didn't write in the letter she was the driver. She wrote that she owned the car. It was my car. I did what she asked me to do.
Let me see the letter. You know what I find interesting? Neither one of you can spell the word Eddington as it was written for the plaintiff. The person who you were in an accident with
Yes, ma'am.
spelled their last name, Eddington.
I'm aware of that, yes.
This lady spelled it Edington. 1 D.
Yes, ma'am.
This lady spelled her name the same way, Edington. That's very peculiar, wouldn't you say?
I don't know. It could be that she might want to throw me off because I used everything I can find to locate her, and I even called directory assistants. I gave them the spelling of her name, and I came up empty.
This says, I'm not responsible for the accident because my sister, Starwishi Eddington, was not driving, and I was not driving.
That's what she asked me to write. Verbatim.
You want to know something, Miss Evans? I don't think either one of these ladies was driving your car.
Can I say something?
I think that they're both scammers. I do. I think that they know who was driving that car, but it wasn't either one of them.
I have one more piece of evidence.
Maybe I'm wrong. Show me.
It's a picture. It's a picture that Starwishi showed me, and I pointed out the driver, and she told me it was her sister. And she didn't even tell me.
5 years old.
But I know, I remember who the person I saw, Your Honor.
I'll take a look at the picture.
Judge, you know, I have no reason to lie. I would be willing to take a lie detector test if I have to pay.
About what?
I mean, the whole situation, because I was not driving.
Oh, I believe that you weren't driving the car. Miss Eddington, the person who wrote this, I don't think was you. And the person who wrote this, I don't think was her.
Can I say one thing about
Sure.
that? That could have been her mother that wrote that down, because she was there too at the time. I didn't actually see her write it.
Of course you didn't see it.
Oh, you've got a problem. Who's this?
Me.
How long ago?
We were probably about 6 years ago.
You have a picture of your other sisters?
In my purse.
I'd like to see them.
Okay.
Go. Thank you. Hurry back.
May I say something while we're waiting, Your Honor?
Yes.
I mean, all I know is that I got into this accident. This person calls me 2 months ago telling me that she's not the person that I thought she was. I mean, as far as I know, I'm talking to a ghost, okay? I mean, I was in shock, you know, because it was over and done with. I met with this person. She showed me the picture. I pointed out the person, and she told me who it was. I know I have not seen this person since the accident or since we walked into this courtroom, but I was ticked off. You know, I was getting jacked around.
You still are. We're going to try to undo it.
Oh, okay.
Now, what was the address of the place where you had this accident? Do you remember where it was?
12 Boulevard. It was right in front of the complex.
And that's where your mother lives, is that right?
Yes.
Now, I want you to tell me, who else lives with your mother?
My sister.
Your sister who?
You want to know her name?
No, I want to know her foot size.
Well, she wears a size 9, and her name is Jatisha. My little sister, my little brother, and my mom. I don't live there.
But you did own the Ford that was involved in
Yes.
the accident, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And who was driving the car on May 14th, 2003? Look at me. Who was driving the car?
Her.
How did she get the car?
I let her use it.
Good. Tell me the surrounding circumstances surrounding you letting her use your car.
She asked, and I said,
What
yeah.
date did she ask if she could use the car? On that same day?
I guess so. I
No,
mean,
don't,
I
listen
don't know.
Listen
I
to
don't
me.
know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know what date it was. That was so long ago. I don't know.
Well, try to think. When did you find out that the car had been in an accident?
When Cindy served me with papers. There
And
wasn't
then,
any
just a
dent
second.
in my car.
Joe, listen to me. May 14th, at your mother's house, your sister was using your car, right?
Right.
And your car was involved in an accident.
Right.
So that your sister says that you borrowed the car. Right? Listen to me. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was either you who were driving the car or your sister who was driving the car. Is that right?
It wasn't
Speak up!
Yes.
Yes, either you or your sister who was driving the car, correct?
It wasn't me.
It was either you or your sister who was driving the car.
It wasn't me.
But you are the owner of the car.
Yeah, well.
You're it. The tail is on you, madam. When you own the car, you... When you own the car, try to look intelligent. When you own the car, you are responsible for whoever is driving the car if they're in an accident. You are the owner. You are responsible. You have to demonstrate to a judge at some time in the future that it was not your fault because someone was driving the car without your permission. That person perhaps stole the car. But if what you're telling me is that you loaned your sister the car and let her drive the car, and you are the registered owner of that car.
No, I'm not.
It's you. Well, that's what is right here.
I'm not the registered owner.
Well, who is the registered owner?
The person who I got it from, I guess. I mean, it never was registered in my name.
Someone is scamming Miss Evans, and I don't know who it is. And maybe it's somebody by the name of Eddington, and maybe it's one other of these charming, beautiful sisters that are depicted in here. I don't know who it is. All I know is, put your hand down. All I know is that I have a document signed by you because I've checked the signature that you are the owner of the 1988 Ford car that was involved in an accident. You are therefore responsible for the damages to Miss Evans' car. You may try to implicate somebody else. You may implead, if you wish, someone else when you sue your sister, who you say was driving the car. You may, in fact, sue the actual owner of the car if you wish to name the actual owner of the car. Until you do, the tail is pinned on you. How much was the car damaged?
It was totaled, Your Honor. But
The amount?
I've got an estimate here for $2,217.37. That's just for the damages alone to the car. That doesn't mean for the total loss.
Listen.
You're scamming me, Miss Evans.
I don't think so.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Miss
Both
Evans,
of you guys
what do
are
you do
scamming.
for a living?
I'm a part-time remote regulatory document processor for a trans-management company.
The interesting thing is, I don't know whether the police would remember the person who was involved in this accident and who actually they interviewed when they came to the scene. It would be interesting to me. But I certainly think that the person who gave false information should be prosecuted and spend a couple of weeks in jail.
I agree.
Because that's what happens when you file a false document and you make somebody spend a year and a great deal of time trying to get a certain amount of justice. You'll get that here. Judgment for the plaintiff against this defendant to the amount of $2,200. You can go sue whoever you like.
No, that's
fine.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Stay here.
I don't even know whose fault the accident was, really. You know, I don't know if this lady deserves anything.
The first thing that came out of her mouth was it was my fault.
They're scamming me. They've been talking. They've been changing numbers.
I don't need to scam anybody, and I'm not desperate.
This lady, as far as I'm concerned, is like desperate from the looks of things.
She does look a lot different. She has kind of like plumped out a little bit more.
We don't have a relationship. That's why if we had a relationship, she wouldn't be here.
Registered nurse Kim Gransbury Conte is suing the mother of her son's girlfriend, homemaker Melody Marine, for the return of a pit bull named Samson. Melody is countersuing for the dog's expenses.
Now, this is case number 234 on the calendar, the matter of Gransbury Conte versus Marine. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Pronounce your last name for me.
Gransbury Conte.
Miss Conte, you have a son.
That is correct.
Whose name is Zane. He is currently incarcerated.
He's in a rehab.
Did he go into rehab after his term in prison?
Yes.
This lady has a daughter. Her daughter has a child with your son.
Yes.
Her daughter is currently in rehab.
No, she's home, ma'am.
How long was she in rehab?
35 days.
Probably not enough.
Probably not.
But this is not about the child. This is not about anything. This is about a dog. Because it is your claim that Miss Marine
yes.
had your son's dog, a year-old pit bull, and she took possession of the dog when your son went to prison. There was an agreement that she would do that, but after 9 or 10 months, she gave the dog away. Miss Marine says nobody wanted this dog. The dog was an untrained animal when she got him. And she's counterclaiming because she said, if you've got your son's power of attorney, you ought to pay her for the year's worth of food and vet bills. And in addition to the fact that she fed this dog and took care of him for a year, he also was dangerous and caused injury to her pet duck. And there was substantial vet bills. So that's what the case is about. Don't you have better things to think about than this?
Yes.
You've got a son who's got a drug problem. You've got a daughter who's got a drug problem. You share a grandchild.
Yes.
And how old is this grandchild?
She's 22 months, ma'am.
I'm going to get to your case in a second, but it would seem to me that you two ladies, if you were intelligent young ladies, would concentrate on this 22-month-old child who had the misfortune of having 2 drug addicts as parents.
Absolutely.
We reach an accord. Perfect. All right, so let's take care of the dog first, and then we're going to talk about the baby.
Okay.
When your son went to jail, why didn't you take the dog?
I went to Spokane to pick the dog up. At that time, I was with Carrie. I stayed at Carrie's house, and we had an agreement because I was going to take the dog to take it back, and she had asked me if I would leave the dog with her because she felt that it made it like my son was still there.
You mean her daughter?
Yeah, her daughter.
Go ahead. So her daughter said, leave me the dog because I will feel close to my man.
Yeah, exactly. And I had offered, you know, I said, if anything comes up with the dog, if you can't handle it, anything that you need to give me a call, you know, I had no problem, you know, making payments for dog food or whatever. Yeah, we did talk about that.
That's with her daughter?
Yeah, with her daughter. Melody wasn't even in the picture.
Okay. But there came a time when Melanie came into the picture.
Carrie had gotten sick. She had some other medical problems.
Her daughter?
Yes. Melody, from what I understand, stepped in to help Carrie with the dog.
And when was that?
I'm not sure exactly when, because Carrie and I were not talking after November because of Melody.
Why?
When I went down there for my son's trial, I had stayed with Carrie, and Melody has nothing but horrible things to say about my son to my face on a regular basis, even when she put on my wedding. Okay. That's all I heard about.
Oh, okay. So the mother was angry at your son?
Exactly. And she had interceded a letter from my son to Carrie, and she said that if Carrie's plan was to be a jailhouse bride, she wasn't going to have no part of it. She was going to give her an ultimatum that she wasn't going to take care of her child and the dog and everything if this is what her daughter's choice was going to be. I went and I, you know, told Carrie what she had said. Carrie confronted her mom, and Melody twisted it and said that wasn't what she said, and then, you know, Carrie wasn't talking to me.
If you had a daughter, would you want her to marry somebody who was in jail?
No.
Of course not.
No.
Because you would think that that was a bad choice.
Exactly.
So how many months did the dog stay with Miss Marine before you asked for the dog back?
April is when I found out she gave the dog away. So
Now,
it
what
was
I'm
like
asking
7 months.
Now, what I'm asking you, so you knew that Miss Marine had the dog for 7 months.
Not her, Carrie.
How many months did you know that she had the dog, not
None.
Carrie? None. At all?
None.
Okay. And she actually had the dog for how many months?
Between 8 and 9 months.
After your daughter couldn't take care of the dog anymore?
My daughter never took care of the dog.
So that means that for 8 or 9 months you weren't checking on this dog regularly?
Oh, yes, I did.
Well, who did you check with the dog?
There's a mutual party that was taking care of my wiener dog.
You mean a dachshund?
Yeah.
Why wasn't the dachshund with you?
My husband and I had just gotten married, and we lived in an apartment.
So you couldn't take care of these dogs anyway?
We were in the process of purchasing a house.
So there was a period of time when you could not take care of not only this dog, but you couldn't take care of your little dog because you were in an apartment. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So, get over it. This wasn't a dog that you were attached to. This wasn't a dog that you were responsible for at any time physically. You're just suing her about this dog because you're angry at her.
No, she has no right to take my son's dog. This is about my son.
Stop worrying about your son. Let your son worry about getting his life together.
Well, he is doing that.
Well, that's good. He's in rehab, and he should worry about taking care of himself, not a 90-pound untrained pit bull.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Her son's girlfriend, Melody Marine, owes for the return of a pit bull named Samson. Melody claims Kim is angry because she is seeking custody of their granddaughter.
Madam, devote your energies to rehabilitating your son and perhaps engaging your granddaughter in some sort of a relationship before you ruin the relationship that you have totally with this lady, who it appears to me, at least based upon what I read, has filed a petition for custody of the child. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Temporary.
Well, somebody's got to take temporary custody of her.
I have a letter here that clearly shows what Melody's intent is towards my son and towards me, you know.
So, now let's get to the expenses of the dog that you're talking about on your counterclaim, then I'm going to read the letter. You have a counterclaim because you want the cost of the food, etc., for the dog, is that right?
That would be nice.
Well, it would be nice, but she's not responsible for that. You chose to keep the dog. As far as I'm concerned, you could have given the dog away the day it came into your possession. What happened with your duck?
In the morning when I go out to open up the chicken coop and feed them and let them out for the day, Samson's just charged in before I did and kind of head-butted the duck and smacked his head on the back of the chicken coop, and his eye just gradually swelled and festered and eventually had to be removed.
So that you have to understand that Samson was your responsibility, and if you were in any way negligent in taking care of him that allowed him access to the duck, that's not her fault. Now, well, this certainly is a very angry letter. It's a letter, Miss Marine, that you wrote to Zane, I assume, while he was incarcerated.
Yes.
And let me tell you how I evaluate this letter. Your son and her daughter, who she refers to in this letter as a bunch of miserable dopeheads, she refers to her own daughter that way, created a child that she now has to take care of. You have other children?
My children are grown. I have another grandchild.
How old is your other grandchild?
He'll be 6 next month.
Who does he live with?
His mother.
That's what's supposed to happen. You have children who are in their 20s and 30s, and they choose to have families, and they come and visit every Sunday or every other Sunday, and they spend 2-3 hours. They mess up your house, and then they go home. They don't come to live with you when they're 2 years old. You're having a wonderful time. You got a new husband, you got a new house, you're moving, everything is nice, and she's getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and she's taking care of kids who have the stomach flu and virus and daycare and all this other stuff, because 2 young people who didn't know enough to use adequate protection had a baby and happened to be 2 drug addicts and said, oh, I'm not, but somebody else is going to take care of my problem. So your son, instead of writing from prison and saying to her, thank you for taking care of my child. If there's anything I can do, keep tabs on what it is that you're spending. I can never repay you, but at least I can help when I get out, is very interested in his dog. Who's got my dog, and who's going to take care of my dog, and you've got my dog, and I want my dog back. And she says in the letter, before you ask about your dog, why don't you ask about your daughter Lark?
Oh, he did.
No.
That's her
Much later on in the letter, clearly.
Yeah,
Before you get angry.
She has a restraining order against us.
Well, there must be a reason for that.
I haven't done anything to her.
I have no restraining order.
She said she has
it hasn't been served. It never got served.
She said she has no restraining order. What I'm telling you is, I think that you should start to mend fences before you build barriers. This lawsuit is a barrier. You have no case anyway. And I think the long-term picture that you should look at is that it's quite probable that this little grandchild is going to require 2 sets of grandparents to help raise her, unless her parents get their acts together. And so far, I see a mother who checked into rehab for 35 days, which isn't enough time. I hope that your son does better in his program, because certainly he probably has a jail term hanging over his head if he doesn't.
Yes.
In any event, you 2 ladies, if you're smart, are going to get together for the sake of this 22-month-old baby who probably will need you. Your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I, had hoped that my son would at least get his dog back.
I think that Kim filed the suit because I am seeking temporary custody of my granddaughter.
Oh, no, it's not. Melody thinks she is Saint Melody and thinks that she can just take everybody's stuff and do whatever she wants.
I hope that Kim can follow through with her promise and teach Lark how to crochet and sew, because I know how to cook and garden.
I just wanted to let her know that she's not going to walk all over me, and yes, I am going to watch out for my granddaughter.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of White versus Schimmels, step forward.
Nurse Diana White is suing her ex-boyfriend, switchboard operator Tom Schimmels, for the return of $4,000 worth of property. Diana says her ex is an abusive man. Tom is countersuing for harassment and mental distress.
Miss White, you claim that you met the defendant through a dating service. You moved in with him, and after a period of time, he told you that he wanted you to leave. You did, in fact, leave. It was not a pleasant separation. You claim he kept some of your property. You're suing him for that property in the amount of $4,000. Mr. Schimmel says that the only property that he has of yours is a stove that you left out on the front porch, that he's called you several times to come and get it. You can come and get it whenever you like, because it's still there. Is that right, Mr. Schimmels?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
And that Mr. Schimmels is counterclaiming because he says that since you left, you've been embarking on course of harassing conduct towards him, and you caused some damage to his home when you moved out. Mr. Schimmels, I assume that you are legally blind, sir, and that dog is a seeing eye dog. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Miss White, when did you meet Mr. Schimmels?
About June of 2003.
How did you meet him?
Through a singles line, a singles dating service.
You arranged your first meeting when?
I'm going to say June, the end of June.
And when did you move in with him?
The middle of October.
When did you move out?
February 10th.
Why did you move out?
Throughout our relationship, Tom would get angry and he would say, I just want you to move out. I just want you out of here. It made it very difficult to...
So why didn't you move out?
Because then he would say, I don't mean that. I just say that when I'm frustrated. The night of January 31st, we got into an argument over something very small, and he assaulted me that night. He hit me. I have a 911 tape.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And Tom Schimmels owes for the return of patio furniture and a stove. Tom says Diana won't leave him alone.
According to what I read in the complaint, Mr. Schimmels gave you $2,500. What did he give you the $2,500 for?
That was for a grandfather clock, a china hutch, some rugs, and a computer desk, the bedding for the master bedroom, pictures, rugs, things like that.
Well, do you have a list?
Those are not...
Do you have a list?
I do not.
I do, Your Honor.
You do? Can I
Yes.
see the list? Who is this? Your friend?
This is my witness, Tim Flanagan.
Jim Flanagan.
Your last name, sir?
Flanagan.
Mr. Flanagan,
Jim.
step back, sir. Bert doesn't like anybody to get too close, even
Yeah,
though
all
I
right.
know you don't look dangerous.
Thank you. You bet.
A hutch, lamps, grandfather clock, curtains in the master bedroom, desk, office, rug in the family room, and pictures in the master bedroom. Then you write, by no means is $2,500 fair, something the police have been to the house 2 times, and I do not want the... What is this, Bert? We'll ask her if she can read this, since it's her handwriting.
I couldn't read it either. Sorry for the pun.
Have been to the house. I do not want the abusiveness and fighting to increase, so under duress I agreed to this.
Okay, fine. So, now, what things do you have, madam, that you say he refused to let you take from the house?
There's an entertainment center that I purchased in October, and I have a receipt for that. I purchased $2,300 worth of mini blinds and drapes. There's my antique stove.
Let's deal with this. As far as the mini blinds, etc., you don't get those back. They're fixtures. They're a part of the property, so you don't get them back, and he's not paying you for them. The stove you get back because he says he has the stove, and you can come and get it at any time.
Your Honor,
Go and
he
get it.
said this in the past, and he won't
Okay,
let me.
we'll create an order that 5 days from today's date, at 12 o'clock, you're going to come there with a, is this an old stove?
It's an antique stove.
Fine. You're going to come there, and she's going to pick it up. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, sir. I've told her many times to come get it, and she
Fine.
refused to do that, and
Good.
I've given her,
No,
all
no,
of her stuff.
fine. Terrific. The entertainment center. What about the entertainment center, sir?
She said when we were buying, I bought all the furniture for more furniture. She said that she was going to buy that for me as a gift.
Give me the date.
It had to have been in October when we moved in because I bought all brand new furniture for the whole house. And
Okay. So listen to me very carefully, sir. In October or November, that means that within either a month to 2 months, you told her to leave the house, correct? After pay careful attention, Mr. Schimmel.
Okay.
Within a month or 2 after she bought the entertainment center, according to you, for the house, you told her to leave. Is that right?
In December, yes.
And it's true that some of the stuff that is in your home, like the blinds and the stuff that is attached to the house that I already told her she can't have back because they're attached to your house, you still have there. Is that right?
Correct.
And you are complaining, sir, that she's harassing you because your counterclaim said that she's been harassing you for money. Is that right?
Yes, she's owes me money for damage deposits.
Just listen to me.
Okay.
You didn't sue her for damage deposits or anything else until she brought this lawsuit against you, Mr. Schimmel. So what I'm saying to you is, you're complaining that the harassment is because she keeps calling you, asking you for money.
Right.
Or her things. And I'm saying to you that it would have been smart of you if you told her to leave within a month or 2 of her buying you this entertainment center for the house she was moving You should have given it back to her.
Well, I understood that it was a gift when she bought it.
I don't think so. You prepared to give her back the entertainment center, sir? Along with the stove?
I can give her the stove. I mean, the entertainment center is built. I mean, it'd be really difficult for me to do that.
Okay.
I mean,
so she gets the stove plus $771.50. What else, Miss White? And don't go into nonsense with me, because otherwise I'll reconsider the $771.50.
I'm not. My patio furniture is there, my molded lawn chairs, my padded folding lawn chairs are there. He did return 2 of my hoses, but the ends were cut off of them. There's wind chimes, there's
Don't go into nonsense with me.
A 1940 radio.
You have an old radio, 1940 radio.
That she was going to throw away and she said I could have.
It's now become very, very important to her to have this old radio back. It's an antique. She wants it back. And when you give her back this property, she's going to stop annoying you. Do you understand?
You aren't one at all. I understand.
Good. So we have a stove that's going back to you and a radio. That's it, Miss White. Plus $771 for the entertainment center. Now let us briefly go into this counterclaim that you have. She's been harassing you. She's going to stop harassing you and calling you for money because you're giving her back the property that, according to what I believe she's entitled to, she's going to get within 5 days. Then you say she pulled her paintings right out of the walls and I had to hire a handyman to patch up and paint the damaged walls.
Yes.
Did you pull everything out of the walls?
No.
Show me pictures.
We don't have pictures.
Good. Then you have no counterclaim.
We have where we paid a man to fix the walls, and I've seen the walls when she moved out, and there was holes in them.
Why didn't you take a picture? If you intended to sue her, why didn't you take a
Well,
picture?
I didn't realize they were going to get into such an argument over some holes in the walls.
I mean, neither. So if you didn't plan on getting into an argument over holes in the walls, why are you bothering me with it now?
Yeah, okay.
Good. Counterclaim is dismissed. There's a judgment for the plaintiff that I'm entering 5 days from today. You to pick up your stove from his porch and the radio, which will be on the porch on top of the stove or underneath the stove or next to the stove, plus $771 for the entertainment center that he says is too difficult to dismantle. Do you understand? Yes. By 12 noon. Otherwise, it's gone. Consider it over.
Thank you. Your Honor, I've tried to get it over for a long time.
That's all. Listen to me.
I've not,
It's
you know, I
over.
mean, I wasn't even comfortable in my own house.
Well, what would you like me to do about that, sir?
Well, that's why I countersued, because I was distressed and
I've been distressed most of my life, sir. It doesn't mean that I come to a court and try to annoy somebody. Do you understand? You should have given her back a radio. You should have paid her for the entertainment center.
I tried to.
You did? You tried to pay her for the entertainment? You paid her for the entertainment center?
No, because she said that was a gift.
Mr. Schimmels, say goodbye, sir. Mr. Flanagan will help you out. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think justice does prevail.
She stole all my stuff out of the cupboards.
I'm glad that it's over.
She took advantage of me because she saw I was down and out when I lost my girlfriend.
No, I didn't take advantage of him. I loved him. You know, sadly, I loved him.
She says, if you're going to kick me out of here, it's going to take more than that. She says, you're going to have to chain me to a tree outside.
He would yell and scream and say, get out, and then he'd say, I don't mean it. And I'd say, you know, I made a commitment, so I guess you'll have to chain me to the tree.
She lived in the spare bedroom and wouldn't pay attention to me. She ignored me. She was nasty towards me.
After he assaulted me and he pushed me and the police were there, you know, it got pretty scary. It was time to go.
Perry Schultz for medical bills, moving expenses, and harassment. Renee claims the Schultzes not only got her evicted, but they caused physical harm to her baby.
Come to order. All rise. This is case number 39 on the calendar in the matter of Bishop versus Schultz. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Bishop, you and your family were renters in a 4-unit complex, according to what I read in your complaint. The other 3 apartments or condos were occupied by owners.
Right.
And it is your claim that the defendants did several things. First, they told untruths to the cooperative association and therefore your landlord.
Yes.
Causing you to be evicted.
Yes.
And next, you allege that the defendants, one or both of them, put needles in your laundry, which got into your baby's pajamas, which caused injury to the baby.
But
shh. And you want to be compensated.
Yes, ma'am.
I assume that they did not put any needles in your laundry on purpose. If needles got into the laundry because Mrs. Schultz?
Schultz.
Is a diabetic.
Yes.
Does use needles.
No.
No.
Doesn't use needles.
No.
Okay. Interesting. And in addition, that whatever statements they made to the landlord, your landlord, were true, and if you were evicted, it was because of your own conduct. That's their defense. I just want to check something. Well, I'm reading your answer, Mr. Schultz, and your answer says, my wife is diabetic, and when the plaintiff's husband brought the lancets to me...
There's a difference between lancets and needles.
Oh, okay, lancets.
Okay, yes.
So I used
Yes,
the wrong
I
word.
used
It's lancets.
Lancets.
When plaintiff's husband brought lancets to me, he said he found them in the washer. My wife is diabetic, but they did not look like the lancets my wife used. So we're using a different term.
Right,
Needles,
right. Well, there is
lancets.
a difference between lancets and needles.
Okay. When did you move in, Mrs. Bishop, with your family?
August of '03.
And how many members were there in your family?
3, myself, my husband, and my baby.
How old is your baby?
1 year and 4 months.
Did you have trouble with Mr. and Mrs. Schultz or any of the other neighbors when you moved in?
Just the Schultz. No, the other neighbors were very kind and friendly, normal neighbors.
What happened with Mr. and Mrs. Schultz?
I think the first month or two was fine. We were friends.
Well, actually, it was...
I didn't ask you anything yet.
Mr. Schultz was very kind and helpful, showing us where the things were, telling us how things ran around there, like he was a
That was the
landlord.
first month or two?
First month or two. I understood from the neighbor in number 2, Tammy.
Don't tell me anything that a neighbor told you.
I understood she needed a kidney. So I went up and offered her a kidney and asked her what blood type she was. She said she was blood type AB. And we
But
talked
I'm
about
not.
it
So, this is good.
to my best recollection. Anyways,
Go ahead.
So, just things started happening where the laundry problems. They parked in a, his truck is very big, it's a Bronco, and it's blocked our space. When we moved in, we asked him several times to please move it. We can't get our car in the garage. Here's a violation of that was written on my car because his car was parked in my space, so I had to scoop my car over the line. So I was ticketed because they called on me after we asked them to move the car and complained to the landlord.
Mr. Schultz, did you and the plaintiff and or her husband ever have a conversation with... Could you stand up and take your hand off your
I'm
hip?
sorry.
Did you and the plaintiff or her husband ever have a conversation with regard to your truck encroaching on their parking space?
No, not...
Never.
No.
Never.
No.
Your Honor?
No.
And actually...
However, excuse me, Your Honor, however, though, I did quite a few times ask them if they could move their car over because I couldn't get into my car, and she is...
Now, just one second.
Okay.
So there was a problem.
There was a problem.
Now, when there was a problem, it was because their car was parked too close to the line, yet their car was parked within their lines. But you have a very large car, and in order for you to get in and out of your spot, you wanted them to move their car further over.
To the other line.
I understand. Your wife is answering the question, sir. I mean, you know, I understand. She understands what I'm saying. You may want to give me a lot of baloney, but I'm not going to tolerate it. You asked them to move their car to the other side because you have a very large car and it was difficult for you to get in and out of your car. Is that a fair statement?
That would be a fair statement.
That's a fair statement. Okay. And what I assume happened is you parked it as close to the line as you possibly could. Is that what you're telling me?
Not necessarily, but
Not necessarily. Let me see the pictures. I'm 10 steps ahead of you, sir.
The picture
I'm
of his
10 steps
Bronco,
ahead of you.
And here's the rules and regulations.
You know, fortunately, we all come to our jobs, Mr. Schultz, with a life's experience.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, well, in this case, you may not be.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Her former condo neighbors, Michelle and Perry Schultz, put needles into a laundry dryer, causing injury to her baby. Renee also claims the Schultzes lied to the landlord and got her evicted.
Let's get to the rest of the complaints that were made, because that's what you're alleging. Let's get there, and let's get there fast.
Okay.
And then we'll get to the Lancets.
Okay.
What?
May I ask my
May
witness
I-
to come up and explain?
Absolutely. Who are you?
I'm her husband, Brett Bishop.
Okay, do you have the complaints?
No, we do not have the complaints.
Well, then how am I supposed to adjudicate that
we
part of
were
your
not
claim?
able to get them from our landlord in time.
Well, then, yeah, I have to strike that part of your claim.
Okay, then I have nothing in that regard.
Good, fine. And let's get to the needles incident.
I went out to get the baby's laundry out of the dryer. And
When was this?
January 29th. And found needles in the dryer, and I came back in the house and called my husband, and he told me that they might be hers because she's diabetic.
Okay. Do you have any of them with you?
Yes.
And this was before you put any clothes on the baby?
No.
What do you mean, no?
Similar of what the needles look like.
You see, what you state in your complaint is that your baby was uncomfortable, and the next morning you found needles in her pajamas. Then you went down to the laundry and you found needles. Now you tell me that on the 29th of January, you went down to the dryer and found needles in the dryer.
I got the needles out of the dryer, and I came back into the house and called the police.
Yes.
My husband came home at the same time.
Yes.
And he can pick it up from there.
The police officer went and spoke with Mrs. Schultz.
Listen to me. Were you there when the police officer spoke to Mrs. Schultz?
I was not in his presence. He spoke to her on her balcony. We waited in the house. He came down and told us what she said.
That's hearsay. I'll look at a police report if you have it.
Yeah, we have a police report. In that police report, she admits that the needles were hers. Sorry.
Now, according to the police report, I'm just telling you what the police report says.
Okay.
It says that you advised the police that the needles were left in your clothing by accident. I got it. What's next?
We have photographs of the needle, and we did not know that where the needle came from, where the scratches came from originally.
I don't know what scratches you're talking about, Matt. I have no clue as to what scratches you're talking about.
We found a needle later in my baby's diaper. After we phoned the police, we discovered that the scratches that were on her that were not on their way.
I have no idea what you're talking about, madam. I asked you, tell me about the incident involving the needles.
Okay.
And you told me on the 29th of January you found needles in the laundry. And now you're talking to me about scratches, and I have no clue as to what you're talking about.
On the 28th night, I put my baby to bed. In the morning when she woke up, my husband... What you tell me?
On the 9th, we put our baby to bed. I usually put the baby to bed, and she had no scratches to her labia area. She was very fussy that night. We thought she was teething. The next morning when I got up to take her to the nanny, I noticed when I was changing her, she had a dirty diaper, so I wiped her up, and I noticed that there were scratches to her vagina area. We have pictures.
What kind of diapers do you use?
Pampers.
Well, how could she have scratches to her vaginal area?
That's where we're getting at, is the whole reason why we're here is the needles that this lady put in our laundry somehow got into our baby's diaper, scratched up her labia. We have pictures to document that. We have pictures of the needles and our emergency room doctor.
We dug through the diaper pail.
Saw those.
We have a diaper pail we keep the diapers in, and after discussing with the officer and finding out the needles 2 weeks later that she had got scratched from, we assumed we better look through the old diapers that we keep in the pail, which we have pictures of the diaper pail and needle in the dirty diaper. So that's how we didn't know where the scratches came from.
But you don't put diapers in the wash.
Push it.
So we put 2 and 2 together and took her to the emergency room, and they wrote the report that needles stick to the labia, and they did the HIV test on her, hepatitis testing. And
So what you're telling me is, I mean, I don't know what these pictures show, madam. You're showing me a picture of a dirty diaper with a blue needle in it. Is that what you're showing me you found?
Yes.
I don't believe you. I don't believe that 2 weeks later you kept dirty diapers in a pail.
The baby goes to the nanny Monday through
Let
Friday.
me explain
because I'm
something to you, madam. I do not believe that you kept dirty diapers in a pail from January 9th to January 30th. I don't believe it. It doesn't make sense. And I'm not crazy about their attitude, especially his. I'm not sure about hers yet, but especially his. But if you think you're going to parlay that into a monetary award, you are wrong, because I do not believe this evidence, which is a 2-week-old diaper that you kept in a pail in her room and happened to open it up and found within the diaper that your husband said he changed on the 9th of January, a blue needle that he overlooked. I don't buy it.
It was
My problem is that 3 weeks later, or 2.5 weeks later, when you found this, you took your child to the emergency room?
Mm-hmm.
What date did you take the child to the emergency room?
The 29th.
29th. So what you're telling me is you didn't see the problem on the 9th.
Yes, we did.
Well, show me what you did.
We took her to my doctor for shots. 2 days later, she had a date for shots.
Should.
Red
Good.
marks on the
Let
buttocks.
me see. Let me see. 2 days later, let me see what the report says. Well, infant.
Red marks on
Red
buttock.
mark on buttock. That's not what your husband just told me. Your husband told me that she had needle punctures on her labia. Listen, what do you think? I was born yesterday. Your case is dismissed. They may have not been good neighbors, and they may have done a lot of things that were nasty to you, but you're not going to parlay that. My only problem is you did take the child 2.5 weeks later to an emergency room where somebody found a needle prick on the child. My question is, how did it get there 2.5 weeks later when it wasn't on the doctor's report 2 days after what you allege is the incident?
Because
that causes me a great deal of concern. Not from them, but from you. Your case is dismissed. Step out. Out.
Thank you.
I didn't put the lancets in the washer or the dryer.
They just started turning psycho and messing with our cars, cutting our vehicles up, all kinds of stuff.
We've lived there 8 years, never had a problem with anybody until they moved in.
I think because they're just really jealous. Their kid's autistic, unfortunately.
So does that mean I'm jealous of every normal child in this world? I don't think so.
He used to tell us all the time, oh, you're so lucky to have a healthy baby. She's so beautiful. She's so this, she's so that. And I think there was a fine line between jealousy and hatred.
That's just a farce. I mean, they're just reaching, you know. Desperate people will do desperate things, you know, and they're desperate.
Assistant Director of Human Resources, Naheed McGowan, is suing hair salon owner Manouk Kasabian for damaging her hair and scalp during a Japanese hair straightening process. Naheed also claims Manouk is guilty of sexual misconduct.
This is case number 456 on the calendar in the matter of McGowan versus Kasabian. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. McGowan, it is your claim that the defendant, who either owns or works in a beauty salon, straightened your hair, and he did so in an unprofessional manner, causing your hair to fall out and become dry, et cetera, et cetera. And in addition, you claim that he was unprofessional in the way he spoke to you during the course of his hair treatment. You wanted to compensate you for all that you went through in the amount of $5,000. Mr. Kasabian says that he performed a service for you. He did so in a professional manner. And as a good businessman, when you came in and complained, he gave you a partial refund, but he certainly doesn't owe you any more. That's your defense.
That's right.
Okay. What kind of process were you putting on your hair, Miss McGowan?
Well, I actually went in to have my hair. It's called Japanese hair straightening. And I went
Had you ever had this Japanese hair straightening before?
No.
What prompted you to do it?
I had a curly hair, so I wanted to just kind of save time getting ready in the morning because I have a small child. So that's why I wanted to do this process.
How did you find the defendant's salon?
Well, actually, where I lived, that's where his salon is. And then I actually went to post office and I saw this huge sign. It's a Japanese hair straightening. And I haven't seen that particular sign anywhere. So I assumed that he knows what he's doing.
So you went into his shop based upon the sign and based upon the fact that he was conveniently located?
Correct.
All right. Go ahead. Tell me what happened.
And I went in and I saw Mr. Caspian, and I asked him how much it would cost for have this process done, and he said it's about $300. I said, but that is a little bit over my budget, and he says, well, I'm not busy right now, so I would do it for you for $250. And I said, do you have time now? And he said, yes. I said, that's fine. And then immediately, you know, I was sat on a chair, and then his assistant, Barry, started putting chemical on my hair. And then she proceeded to tell me, well, it's going to be kind of uncomfortable, this process. I said, how's that? She says, well, you have to go through a process of put you under hot steaming cap, and then we have to rinse your hair with a very cold water. I said, okay. And she says, you have to go through this process at least 3 times. At this time, I was like really afraid, but I had chemical in my hair, so I sat there and I endured. And then after she was done with everything, she proceeded to tell me, well, your hair is like really uneven because now that you have your hair straightened. And then Mr. Caspian came over and he proceeded to cut my hair, and then I was wearing a cap, you know, one of those robes they give you when you're going through the hair processing thing. And then I noticed that my chest was kind of showing, and then he was looking through the mirror. And I immediately, as soon as I realized that, I covered myself. And then he proceeded to ask me whether I was married. And I said yes. And then he says, oh, I hear you have an accent. Where are you from? And I said, well, I'm Persian. And then he says, well, I hear the Middle Eastern women, they're really good in bed. And they cook and they clean and bring home money and they give really good service to their husband. Do you do that for your husband? And I was like really shocked by this time, and I tried to keep my composure. I was so upset at this time.
Why didn't you just tell him it's none of his business?
Well, Your Honor, as a child, I was sexually assaulted. And then this whole situation, when you're sexually assaulted by anyone, when you're a child, the whole thing came up for me. And I was very upset at that time. I was actually retrieving. I was thinking, okay, this is not happening to me as a grown woman. And I was very upset.
And then he proceeded to tell his assistant, pointing at this one woman, and he says, oh, she's very pretty. And then he pointed at her butt, and he said that I'd like to have some of that. And then I was just so shocked. And meanwhile, I'm like totally seeing my hair is just, you know, I'm so upset about my hair, and this whole thing is happening. And then I asked his assistant, I said, is he married? And she proceeded to tell me yes. I said, and he goes, well, he also has a kid. I said, does that make you uncomfortable? He makes comments like that. And she proceeded to tell me, well, you just get used to it. And then they also told me that I have to buy some products in order to have the special, you know.
All right, so far, listen to me, Ms. McGowan. So far, I don't hear lawsuit, madam. I hear you didn't have a nice experience, but I don't hear lawsuit.
Okay.
So far, what I'm hearing is you went in to get your hair processed. You'd never had this process before. You didn't ask enough questions. When they straightened your hair, it was uneven because certainly curly hair is cut differently than straight hair. So he cut your hair. And while he was cutting your hair, if I believe everything that you say, he acted like an idiot. He said things that were inappropriate. Okay, inappropriate doesn't equate to lawsuit.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Inappropriate translates to, he says stupid things.
Right.
You know, you're married, do you cook, do you clean, do you service your husband? I hear women from where you are do that. It's, you know, if I believe you, and he's going to tell me it didn't happen, I'm sure, right?
Exactly, it did not happen.
Okay, but if I believe you, madam, that's not a lawsuit.
Exactly.
So then let's get on to the lawsuit, please.
Okay. When I got home, I had a massive headache. I actually had my scalp is starting to feel really raw, and I called urgent care. So I went to see a doctor.
Let me see the report from urgent care.
This is the urgent care, and the receipt. They gave me Vicodin. They told me.
Are you showing me something from a psychiatrist?
Well, I'm showing you a couple of things. The very first page is from urgent care. I have a very bad headache, and my scalp was completely raw, and that's why they put me on Vicodin, which I've never taken before.
Okay.
And then after that, I couldn't sleep for 3 consecutive days, and called my primary physician, and he asked me to go to psychotherapist. And that's what you see, is a psychotherapist.
What else?
And then during this time, I actually went to another beauty salon who they knew how to retrieve my hair, and these are the costs that I have the receipt, and also some of the product that I had to get to.
What was, I don't hear anything wrong with your hair.
My hair is chemically burned, Your Honor.
Are you telling me that less than a month after this treatment, you went to another hair salon and had hair color, highlights, and a deep conditioner?
That's
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Madam, listen to me very carefully. Common sense suggests that if your hair is burned because you've had it straightened or because you've had it curled and have a permanent, and if it's not in good condition, the one thing you don't do is put more chemicals on it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Shahid McGowan says hair salon owner Manu Kasabian owes for damaging her hair during a Japanese hair straightening process.
I'm ready to listen to you, Mr. Kasabian. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, Your Honor, this lady, she walks into the salon like a month before she came back in. She said she saw the sign and she wanted to have like some knowledge about the way it's done. So I took the time and I explained to her from A to Z how it's done. So she left. Came back a month later, she just walked in. No
lying.
Appointment, nothing.
You're
Listen, Miss
lying.
Miss McGowan, look at me. Don't speak. Did you hear how quiet he was when you were testifying? You were testifying for 12 minutes? Listen! Did you hear how quiet he was when you were testifying? He didn't say anything. That's what you're supposed to do. Don't tell me shy. Don't tell me whatever brings back. I'm not interested. I want you to be quiet and let him testify. You had your turn. We understand each other?
Yes.
Okay, so she came in once, then she came back again July 13th.
So she came back the second time. She just walks in, no appointment, nothing. She says, I made up my mind, I want my hair done. I go, okay, sure, I'm not that busy, I'll do it for you now. So we started working on her. My assistant started to work on her, and then I came and I did the chemical straightening myself. During this time, I look at her hair, and her hair is like very uneven. So I said, can I trim it for you, fix it up? She said yes, so I went ahead and I cut it for her. And then she's saying that I'm looking at her hair through the mirror. How am I going to look at her breast, Your Honor? She has a cape on it, she's covered up. And then she paid for her hair, she was very happy, she left. Now 3 days later, she comes back in by herself. I'm very busy at the salon, I had like about 5 people who were working on. And she says to me, my hair is fuzzy, I need to talk to you. So I look at her from a distance, I go, come closer, let me look. My hands are full of color. I'm working on this lady here.
Which lady?
Nigera.
You were
She's
a
my
customer?
client.
Yes. Just a customer?
Yes, sir.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Mayada Cillian.
Do you recall being in the shop, being a customer in the shop on the day when Miss McGowan came in?
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't know him from any other place other than the salon?
No.
Okay. Tell me what you heard.
Well, he was coloring my hair at the time that the lady walked in, and she was complaining about her hair being fuzzy. And he looked at it, and he tells her, well, it went under chemical process. It's going to take time for your hair to rejuvenate, but it looks fine to me. You can't wash it until 5 days, but it could be touched up with a blow dryer or straight ironing. And she goes, well, I don't have a straight ironing. He goes, well, I know you don't have it, but we sell it here. They sell it everywhere else. If you'd like to purchase one, it's fine. Or you can just touch it up with a blow dryer. And she was still unhappy. She was complaining and started talking loud to him.
What did she say?
She said, well, that was not professional. I'm not happy at all with my hair, and you're really not giving me the attention. He says, if you want to take an appointment, I can condition your hair for you, give it back some moisture. You're more than welcome to come back. But now I can't do anything. I'm with a client. I am sorry that you feel that way. She walks out unhappy and leave and come back maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes later with her husband doing another big scene.
Well, what happened when she came back with her husband?
She came back with her husband. He was done coloring my hair. I had the process on. He was cutting another lady's hair. And she walks in with her husband. Her husband asked him to step out. And Mr. Manouk says, I can't leave my client and step out. He goes, if you don't step out, I'm going to make a big scene in your salon. So Mr. Manouk said, you already made a scene. Let's just hear it, what you have to say. He just started yelling and cussing and using bad words, and all the clients were surprised. I mean, he had other people sitting there that they were really upset and got up and started telling them, please, to be quiet and calm down. And he won't do that. They were both upset. They threatened to do a lawsuit, and they said, we want our money back. You're not giving us our money. He says, I can't give you the money for something I did right. They wanted the money back for their product that they purchased. He says, no problem. You bring the product. I give you the money back.
Your Honor, she wanted to keep the product and have me pay her back the money for the product and the hair.
So after 5-10 minutes of being loud and talking, Mr. Manouk just asked him to leave because it was a really big scene in the salon.
Mr. McGowan, you want to step up here, sir? Why did you go into the salon that day?
Well, after seeing my wife very upset and crying for several days, couldn't sleep for 3 or 4 days, I finally asked her what is wrong, and then she told me that she went to his salon and he didn't have the time of day for her. So she said, will you come back with me? I just want my money back. And so we went into the salon. I said, Mr. Kasabian, we need to talk to you about her hair situation.
She said you made a scene in the salon.
Here's what I said. I said, we need to talk to you about your hair salon. Can you talk to us now? No, I'm busy. I said, you wouldn't talk to my wife a while ago. I said, you need to talk to her now. Either you talk to her now or everybody's going to hear it.
Well, why would you do that, Mr. McGowan? That's outrageous. Sir, listen to me. That's outrageous. Sir, your wife walks in the middle of a business day. She wants his attention while he's working on somebody else. And because she wasn't instantaneously gratified, she went home. She cried to you. You went back to the store and he was working on somebody else. And you said, if you don't take care and speak to my wife immediately, you made a scene. Well, for you and your wife to walk into a business that's a busy salon and make a scene because you didn't get instant gratification is outrageous.
Your Honor, he burned my hair.
And you reburned it 3 weeks later.
No, I didn't.
Are you wearing a wig now?
No, I didn't.
Your hair looks just fine to me. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Why did I excuse you? May step out.
Just because my hair looks good now, it doesn't look like a porcupine. It doesn't mean that I did not endure a lot of headaches.
I think there are a couple of con artists that would try to get something for nothing.
I had to go to psychotherapy to just be able to endure his misconduct.
I think she's psycho already, and she should be put away.
23-year-old warehouse worker Monique Goodwin is suing her former landlord, apartment manager Linda Kyle, for medical bills, a security deposit, and pain and suffering. Monique says, due to Linda's negligence, she almost died.
Yeah, this is case number 489 on the calendar in the matter of Goodman versus Kyle. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Goodwin, Miss Kyle was the resident manager in the apartment complex where you used to live.
Correct.
And you're suing her for thousands of dollars because you say she ignored a medical condition that you had, placing your life at risk, both yours and your daughter's.
Correct.
And you want your pain and suffering that she caused you, some medical bills. In addition, you want a security deposit of $1,000 that she hadn't returned to you.
Correct.
And Miss Kyle says she owes you absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, you lived there the last month without paying rent, and that's what your security deposit went for. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now let's get to the medical condition first, because I find that quite interesting. I gather there is a gate.
Correct.
In your former complex where you lived. And that when you moved in, you were told that in order to get in and out of the gate, you needed a clicker, like a remote. And it was $25.
Yeah, but at the time, I did not own a...
Don't get ahead of me, please. Okay. I'll let you fill in the blanks. Okay. I'm sort of setting this out so that Bert doesn't get bored.
Okay.
So you opted not to get a clicker because you didn't have a car.
No, I had a remote control, but it wasn't one that I purchased from her. At the time, I did not own a car, so there was no reason for me to have a remote control to the gate. But the only reason why I got
listen to me. You didn't buy a remote control from her for $25.
Correct.
When did you move in?
I moved in April.
April of what year?
2004.
All right. And you lived there with your daughter?
My daughter and my son.
Then in October of 2004, your daughter had a seizure.
Correct.
And paramedics came and fire department and everybody else, and they can get in to the complex, but because you didn't have a clicker, they couldn't get out. At least the ambulance couldn't get out.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Correct.
So you were angry because your daughter was stuck in the ambulance or whatever, and you went to her the next day, I assume, and said what? And said what?
I was very upset. I approached Miss Linda Kyle and informed her that around 4 o'clock that morning the paramedics came and picked up my daughter because she had a seizure, and the fire truck came and opened up the gate. After the fire truck left, then the paramedics were there. When the paramedics got ready to leave out of the gate, there was no way for them to, when they went around the apartments,
Listen
apartments
to me,
is only
Ms.
one.
Goodwin, we're not creating a novel here. This is a novella, small. The ambulance couldn't get out.
No, they couldn't.
So you went and complained the next day?
Yes, I did.
And what did Miss Kyle say to you?
She did nothing.
Your daughter suffers from seizures?
That was the first seizure that I've ever had my daughter have.
Well, after you had that first experience, you know what I would have done?
No.
I would have bought a clicker.
Okay.
You chose not to do that. And then a month later, you had an asthma attack.
Correct.
And you still didn't have a clicker.
Exactly, but that has nothing to do with the paramedics. The paramedics should be able to get out of that gate at all times. The only one that has a code is the fire truck. Once the fire truck leaves, there's nothing that the paramedics can do. The night that I had that asthma attack, there was no way for them. They saved my life. I was hospitalized for 3 days because of that. And the first time, she did nothing.
What I don't understand is why you didn't buy a clicker.
Why didn't? Because I didn't have a car. There was no need for me. After someone stole it inside the apartment.
Listen to me. There was a need because a month before your daughter had a serious incident, according to you. And had you had a clicker at that point, you would have gone out in the ambulance with your daughter, gone like this, and the gate would have gone up.
Well, at the time, when a 2-year-old is sitting there having a seizure, that remote control does not mean anything to me. That is my 2-year-old daughter. That's the only daughter that I have. That remote control.
I want to tell you something. You're not making sense to me. You're not making sense to me.
The remote control, okay, the remote control is a big thing to me, okay? It is. But when it comes to the fire truck and the paramedics, that has nothing to do with me having a remote control to the gate. That has nothing to do with it at all, period. I could have lost my life in that paramedics. That's why I'm so upset.
Listen to me, madam. What I don't understand is your daughter had a seizure in October. The paramedics had a problem getting out of your gate. Now you know that your daughter is subject to seizures. I would have said to myself, I have a 2-year-old child. I'm not going to be put in a situation where this can ever happen to me again. Here's $25, give me a clicker. I'm going to keep it in my house in case I ever have that kind of problem again. That's the way you protect your child. Why would you blame that on somebody else?
Well, it's a lot when it comes to Miss Linda.
We're not talking about Miss Linda. I'm talking about you being a responsible parent.
Yes.
You now have a child that you know is subject to seizures, who may in the future have that kind of an emergency. And just as you would go and get the medicine for your child that the doctor gave you, you would want to ensure that if an ambulance had to be called again, you would be able to get the ambulance in and out. I mean, if you disapprove of the way this apartment complex is run, you have a choice. You can move.
Correct.
That's your choice. But to stay there after your 2-year-old has had a seizure without the ability to get her out in case of an emergency is very, very irresponsible.
Well, I thought she was going to fix the problem after I approached her with it.
What made you think that?
Because she's the manager of the apartments. And
what did she say to you that led you to believe that she was going to fix it?
She told me they had a code to the gate. They don't have a code to that gate because we sat out there for 30 minutes. When I had my asthma attack, they went knocking on people's door at 4 o'clock in the morning to get me
Just
out.
a second. Let me ask you a question. They were knocking on people's doors, the paramedics?
Correct.
What did they want when they were knocking on people's doors?
They wanted to get out of the gate.
They wanted a
remote control to get out of the gate.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Quinn says she nearly died from an asthma attack because paramedics couldn't open the security gate to her apartment. Manager Linda Kyle says Monique never purchased a remote control.
Now, after your incident in November, at some point you were served with an eviction notice. You want to tell me why you served her with an eviction notice?
The eviction notice that Ms. Goodwin was served with had nothing to do with the gate. It was due to a nuisance matter where her and her sister was fighting all outside.
You have a complaint?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? Who witnessed this?
Actually, it was 3 or 4 apartments in the complex that called and reported that there was a big scene.
Did you have surround sound in your apartment?
No, I do not own surround sound.
Your Honor, she told me she owned surround sound.
When did she tell you that?
When I asked her to turn her music down.
What did she say?
She said that she didn't feel that she should have to get rid of her surround sound, that she had a right as long as she paid her rent in her apartment to play her music whenever she felt like it.
Which is a lie.
Okay, so you were served with this 3-day notice to quit on December the 1st.
No, I wasn't.
When were you served?
I was given this notice to quit on December the 3rd. I tried to give her my rent on the 1st of December. She looked at me with a big smile on her face while me and my mom was in her office and told me that she was not going to accept my rent.
Okay. So she said, I'm not going to accept your rent on December 1st. You were given a notice to vacate the apartment. When did you, in fact, leave the apartment?
We went to court on January the 5th. I didn't leave until January the 22nd.
What was your rent?
My rent was $625.
Did you pay rent for December?
I tried. I have.
Don't tell me you tried.
No, I...
Did you pay rent for December? Did you live there in December?
Yes, I did.
Did you pay rent in January?
No, I did not, because she
Did you live there in January?
Yes, I did. I tried to give her my rent. She did not want it.
No, she wanted you out. The only issue is whether, when you moved out, you owed any money. You lived there for 2 months. You didn't pay rent for 2 months. I'm not here to determine whether or not the underlying case of the eviction was right or wrong. That's been resolved by the housing court. I'm here because you want your security deposit back, and what I'm saying to you is you expected to live there for December and January and not have, I'm speaking, and not pay rent?
I'm gonna get mad.
Are you living someplace now that you like?
Yes, me and my kids are very happy.
Good, that's what I think should happen. I think that you and your children should find a place to live where you're very happy. Does it have a gate?
Yes, it does. And as a matter of fact, the people can get in and out of the gate.
Perfect. Then you're in a place where you're happy.
But the problem...
Listen to me. You're in a place where you're happy. All right. Now, you were given an opportunity to get a remote control for the gate. You chose not to get one. Even after your daughter had a seizure, you chose not to get one.
What does that have to do with the paramedics? I don't understand that.
Ms. Goodwin, listen, there are no free rides.
Yeah, but this is the receipt that I tried to give her my rent money. But she would not take it from me.
You just paid it with your security deposit. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Me and my daughter could have lost our lives while we were in that paramedics.
Well, I think Judge Judy got a chance to see through Miss Monique.
This lady is a very good liar, and she lies all the time.
She's young. This is her first apartment.
She's just and I hate her, and I'm going to keep hating her.
She's a little hard-headed. You can't make her understand.
She's just like, ugh.
ਕਦੋਂ ਨੇ ਯਾਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਚੱਲੇ ਹੀ ਮਿਲੇ ਬਹੁਤੇ ਪਰ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਚ ਦੱਲੇ ਹੀ ਮਿਲੇ ਦੋ ਮੂੰਹੇ ਸੱਪ ਫੜ ਕੱਢਰੀ ਮੈਂ ਚੱਪ ਪਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੱਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਕੱਲੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਦਿਲੋਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹ ਬੰਦ ਗਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਸ ਇਹੋ ਗੱਲ ਦਿਲ ਉੱਤੇ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਡਾਡੀ ਐਸੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਹੀ ਬੋਲ